Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I talk to people about politics on TikTok Live. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, you can find a pinned comment that'll tell you when the calls start, and all of the oppositional calls will be linked in the description. Pardon me if it takes me a couple days to get to them. I am behind on editing. It has been a busy weekend. We had the first episode of the evening show yesterday, which is not currently public on YouTube. It'll be later today. It was fucking insane. Tom Evanstad is just a crazy person. I didn't need to do anything. I sat there, asked him a couple of questions. There were some crash outs. It was pretty wild. And we had the first members only stream last night, which was a disaster. Thank you, Coffee Pot, for beeping right when I start the show. Yeah, that was a technological disaster. But once we got everything mostly working, I was able to hang out with the chat for like 3 hours, something like that. It was a good time. It's very weird to be in a live streaming environment where there isn't pressure to fill the dead air and treat it like a radio show. As much as the chuds who call in make fun of me for treating it like a radio show, I think the reason it's going well is because I'm just trying to take it seriously. And that means I got to watch the dead air and all of that stuff. Oh, here's something new. I really want you guys to follow my backup profile. So let me just go over to my phone here. Let's see. If I go to, look at that. Oskar Quentin is live. Let's see if I can do this. Let's get into the guest request queue as me. Took me a week to remember to do this. Look at that. Oskar Quentin 2. How old are you? I'm 30. I've been 30 for almost a year, and I almost said I was 20 something. Talking to myself. Yeah. Let's mute me. Okay, there we go. I wanted to mute on that, and I don't know why I didn't just do it from the host end. Anyway, Oskar Quentin 2 is in the corner. If you're watching on TikTok Live, you can hop in and follow that account. It's going to be the one that the show will be on if this show gets taken off the air by the gods of TikTok for me breaking some kind of rules. All right, that's the intro to the show. I think I got all the important stuff out, yeah, I don't even remember how many. Let's see, how many followers does this account have? 1,100. Okay, so now that I'm really going to put it in the corner and try to get people to follow it, we'll see if we can go there. The goal is 10K, because I'd love for all 3 of my TikTok accounts to be properly monetized, but that's just for me to worry about. I think I'm going to push Oskar Quentin 2 until it gets to 10K, and then I'm going to switch over to Oskar Quentin Music and push that, because I just want to get all the accounts above 10K. But I barely just broke 10K on my main account on TikTok. So that's all the housekeeping. Who do we got? We got the mods. We got Tarantula's always at the top of the list when the show starts. We've got Will. We've got Mindwebba. That's a new username. There's lots of new people on the list today. We got Demon. We got Beef Boy 69 Fudge. We got Carl Marxenson. Is he going to call in and talk about Marxism? Jay, shoot a comment in the chat before we get a caller, so I can get you mod privileges, because Jay does not have mod privileges on TikTok yet, and I know that was an item for us to cover. News, I was actually kind of surprised to see that the markets didn't move this morning. I always check on Mondays. I kind of check based on what's going on in the news, and we've already got somebody in the request queue. So all I'll say about the market not moving based on the Iran news over the last week is Taco, right? Trump always chickens out. The market stops taking Trump seriously when he cries wolf about something 15 times in a row. Basically, the market is suggesting that the Iran negotiations are completely meaningless, which is a little concerning. But we're going to talk to Miss Behavior. Miss, like the word miss, space behavior. How old are you?
27.
You are 27. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Why on earth? He's a rapist.
He is not a rapist, but
what is your definition of rapist?
For 3 very specific reasons. I love it when liberals ask me for definitions.
Okay, yeah. To define the words you have to use. Let's go with your script instead of mine. What are your 3 reasons?
Well, I don't use my definitions. I have the definitions, right? Because people will argue.
Do you know the difference between descriptivism and prescriptivism when it comes to language? Because I think
do you always interrupt your panelists when they're in the middle of talking?
Not always.
Oh, well, could you please not? When I'm trying to say something?
I still want to ask my question. Do you know what the difference between prescriptivist and descriptivist is?
What is the relevance to that in any capacity what we're talking about?
You might know the relevance might become obvious to you if you knew what they were. Do you not know what they are?
Can we get back to what we were talking about?
What we're talking about is whether or not you know what you're upset about how definitions work.
I've been victim of it 3 times. I can define rape for you, but we don't need to get into a semantical argument when we're trying to talk about Donald Trump.
No, we did get into a semantic argument because I asked you for the definition of rape, and you said that you don't have a definition, you have the definition. And when somebody says that they have the definition instead of a good definition, it suggests to me...
Are definitions subjective?
Well, that depends on whether or not you're a prescriptivist or a descriptivist. Do you know what those words mean? You haven't answered yet, yes or no. Do you know what the words descriptivist and prescriptivist means when it comes to the definitions of words?
You can explain it if you can do it in like 20 seconds or less, because this is going to get pointless.
20 seconds or less. We know the caller's attention span. I'll try to work within that time frame. Descriptivists think that we should define words based on how people use them in the general public, and prescriptivists think that you can invent a definition of a word that is correct and force it on the general public. That's generally the difference.
Well, we could say just in general, a rapist would be somebody who raped someone.
Yes, and that kicks the can to us defining the word rape, but the prescriptivist versus descriptivist concern remains when we get to the word rape. Sounds to me like I'm a descriptivist. I want to use rape in a way that makes sense to most people. You're a prescriptivist. You have a definition of rape that satisfies your worldview. I'd love to hear it.
A definition of rape or rapist? Or both?
Well, you just said that a rapist is somebody who rapes, which is a little semantic can kicking. So, okay, fine. I think it's fair to say that a rapist is somebody who rapes. So we should define rape.
I would subscribe to. Well, it's legally defined as non-consensual sexual penetration of a victim.
Okay. Yeah, Donald Trump was found civilly liable for doing exactly that.
Are you talking about the case with E. Jean Carroll? If you are, then yeah, I mean, that's... It's very subjective.
True or false? True or false? I just want to make sure that your assessment of the fact...
I'd actually like to ask you a question about the e-file.
No, I'm in charge, and we're going to talk about the answer to this question. It's a true or... Yes, I am. It's my show. True or false? Donald Trump was found civilly liable for doing a thing that meets the definition that you just gave of rape, which is unconsensual penetration of sexual penetration of somebody.
Yes, he was found civilly liable of that.
Okay, so we recognize that he was found civilly liable of rape.
Correct.
I'm glad we agree on that.
Well, it's not something you have to agree. It's a fact. He was found civilly liable.
Not all of my callers recognize that. I'm glad that you do.
Well, I guess I'm special. But the thing is, and this is where it gets to be a little bit more of an issue in the conversation. I like to put that situation to the side. I personally don't like talking about the E. Jean Carroll case, not just because, Donald Trump didn't do blah, blah, blah. I just don't feel like I personally have seen enough physical evidence that would point him to it or not to it. And I know that there are a lot of
let's talk about I don't want to get into the rats now, so I spent
Please
so much time
interrupting me.
I'm going to interrupt you as I see fit. It's my show. So instead of talking about... I
understand that, but like it takes away from the progress of the conversation, because I was going to say something. I was trying to steer us actually back to Donald Trump. You're
trying to steer us to the Epstein files because you're uncomfortable in the E. Jean Carroll case, and I don't want to go through all the details. I want to ask you some very specific questions about Donald Trump's behavior. Can I do that? Relating to the E. Jean Carroll case?
I thought you were in charge. Why are you asking me permission if you're in charge?
Because you're giving me a hard time.
Oh, I'm sorry if I'm giving you a hard time. I am the first guest on your show. I'll behave, I promise. That's why I'm a hard time.
Mods, please stop adding other people with my, the queue's healthy today, and with that many people, with my backup account in the corner, it's crowding the screen for the live stream. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry, lost my train of thought because of
You don't need to apologize to me. It's your show. Do what you had to do.
God forbid I be gracious and polite, even though I don't need to be, because you support a rapist as president of the United States.
Just relax. Just
all right, my specific question is, why did Donald Trump refuse to provide his DNA to the courts in order to prove to them that it was not his DNA on E. Jean Carroll's dress? His claim in court was that he never met her. So if he's saying that he never met her, which is obviously untrue because there's photographic evidence of them meeting each other, that's another lie. But if his claim is that he never met her, his DNA couldn't be on the dress even incidentally. Because I can admit that a person's DNA might get on somebody's clothing if they have lunch together. That's a possibility. But he said he never met her. Why did he refuse to provide his DNA to prove to the courts that it wasn't his on the dress that she claimed she was wearing when she was assaulted?
Wasn't it past the... oh my God, what's the word for it? I can't remember the name, but wasn't it past the point of
statute of limitations?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, they might have been able. They might have been able to subpoena him.
They would have forced him to do it
in a criminal trial if the statute of limitations. So I don't think I'm talking about Donald Trump's intention and character and attitudes, and you're presenting the legal loopholes. I didn't ask why didn't he have to. I asked why didn't he? He was given an opportunity to.
I mean, I can't answer that for Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you can't answer that, if you cannot answer the question, why does this presidential candidate not want to provide his DNA to prove that it's not on the rape victim's dress?
If he never met her and there was never an interaction between them, he would have nothing to lose in order to further verify that he had never done anything to her.
Correct.
In order to
he would have nothing to lose.
Innocence.
Right. It would have helped prove his innocence in this case if he provided his DNA, but he very conspicuously refused. And I do not accept the argument that he did it out of his own sense of privacy because he wasn't legally required to, because the president is a really high-level public servant. They are sacrificing their life and their rights to the country. There are people who never get to drive a car again. They never get to go anywhere alone ever again. They're giving up a lot of things. And I think it's reasonable, whether there's a legal requirement for this or not, I think it is reasonable to suggest that any president who was concerned with making sure the public knew that they weren't a sex offender would have provided their DNA. And I think just the fact that he refused to do that, because he says he's the president of transparency, right? He wants the people to believe the truth. He should add to that pile of truth that they can believe by providing his DNA to the courts. He refused. I'm asking for you to come up with a good reason why he would refuse that, and you're failing, which is concerning. I don't think that you value the plight of rape victims, which is terrible because you identified yourself as one. I value the plight. Of all, yeah,
I value what happened condescending like that to me.
I do. I'm absolutely within my right to be condescending to you. What you are doing is harmful to women and children in this country.
You should. I think that tells me a lot about your character.
Answer the question. Why did Donald Trump refuse to provide his DNA? Give me a reason.
I have no idea. I'm not Donald Trump. I think that he should have. I absolutely think that he should have. If he was innocent, then it would have been. That evidence would have been extremely important in the court case.
If he was innocent, it would be.
Answer why he didn't.
Wait, you just said if he was innocent, it would be. I'm saying that the reason it wasn't and the reason he didn't is because he's not innocent. Because I think he did the thing, and I think his DNA's on that dress.
Okay, well, I don't think that he did it, and I don't think it's his DNA on the dress. And you're asking me, okay, well, then why wouldn't he give his DNA? Well, I don't know. I'm not fucking Donald Trump.
I'm not asking the court. I'm not law enforcement. Shut up, lady. Stop yelling at me. I know that you're triggered by the fact that I'm confronting your beliefs that I believe are you supporting a rapist and the president. I am insulting you. You are worthy of insult. Your position on this is ridiculous, which means it is worthy of ridicule. I will continue to ridicule it on my show. I want you to try this exercise. Instead of you're hiding behind this thing where you can't read his mind. That's great. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking for you to use your imagination to come up with any reasonable explanation for a presidential candidate to do what Trump did, even if it might not be the real one. My claim is that I don't think there is a reasonable explanation. I don't think you could offer a hypothesis about why he did it that makes any sense. I'm asking you to try to do that, even if it's not necessarily the truth. Even if it's not necessarily the truth, we can still say that introduces benefit of the doubt. The reason I don't think that there's benefit of the doubt for Trump is because any fucking presidential candidate who hadn't raped a woman would have provided his DNA to the court to prove it when asked. Invent a reason how it makes sense for him to not do that.
I don't really know how you want me to answer that question. I
want you to use that big old noodle of yours and come up with a reason.
You don't need to be rude to me about it either.
I'm not going to give
you a reason. I don't know. I don't know if there's a reason or not.
I'm saying that I can't even think of a possible reason. Never mind whether it's the accurate reason. They still found him civilly
liable without it. So there you go.
No, that doesn't address my question, because they would, if you believe he was innocent.
I'm not answering your question.
Yes, you are. You can run away. You can hit the run button. You're here by your own consent. You can leave if you want. But the question is, demonstrate to me that there is any possible explanation for any presidential candidate refusing to offer his DNA to a court that is accusing him of doing something to a person that you yourself said meets your definition of rape. Why could any president under... We already covered that. I'm not going to let you backtrack on it. You gave a definition of rape that was forcible penetration of somebody's body for sexual purposes. That is specifically what the claim was in the court. We're not going to go back to arguing about that. You already conceded it. Why would any president
I didn't concede anything.
Do what he did?
I didn't concede anything.
We didn't argue about it. We just agreed in the first place.
Right. So then you can't use the word concede.
Fine. You didn't concede. We agreed that what the court was accusing him of doing was rape. We covered that earlier.
But they still found him civilly liable without that evidence.
Okay, and you're saying that he's innocent.
If he had provided that evidence, if he had provided his DNA and it did match E. Jean Carroll's dress.
That would be further
reliable
evidence.
Conviction be changed?
What you're suggesting is that he's innocent, and that would lead to us to believe that the male DNA that was found...
No, I'm suggesting that we don't have... I said this earlier, and you probably didn't listen, which is okay, and I'll repeat it. I don't believe that Donald Trump did anything to her because there isn't enough physical, verifiable evidence.
We're talking about the most verifiable evidence that's ever used in courts. The likelihood
and we don't have it.
The likelihood of two individuals matching, the likelihood of two individuals on planet Earth matching is about 1 billion to 1. There are about 10 people on this planet.
There's transfer DNA and all this other shit. Go listen to fucking Nancy Grace and all these other people.
What I'm telling you is that
even if they have DNA, oftentimes
I'm not going to let you get away from it. I know you feel like you've successfully run away from the question, but the question remains.
I haven't successfully run away from the question because
that it makes sense for the president to refuse to verify that his DNA is not on a rape victim's dress. There isn't an answer that's going to satisfy you. Because there is no answer that could satisfy anyone about this question, because it's absolutely inexcusable behavior from a public servant, let alone the president. You know that. I think you do know that. I think that you have some ulterior motives for why you want the world to operate in the way that Republicans want it to. I think that you've probably been brainwashed in some way to thinking that that's good for you. So you're doing some mental gymnastics to defend somebody, even though you just said yourself that you cannot come up with an explanation that would satisfy anybody. And that is simply because his behavior is indefensible. It goes no further than that. And this call will go no further than you proving otherwise. You have the floor.
Yeah. So the E. Jean Carroll case is becoming, it's in my opinion, pointless to talk about.
Pivot.
It's not a pivot. Nope. We're talking about the E. Jean Carroll case.
No, saying the case is pointless is not an answer to my question. Forget E. Jean Carroll. Forget Donald Trump. President, I don't know, make up a name. Doesn't matter. Some made up president is running for office. He's already President Oscar. Let's say it's me. I've already been president. I'm already a public servant. I've already had my rights stripped forever. I can't go anywhere alone. I'm not allowed to drive a car. The Secret Service follows me everywhere. My life is about public service because I chose to be president. I'm trying to run again. Somebody I really don't like is president right now, and I'm trying to take the seat back. But I've been accused of rape. Oh no. Oh no. There's one piece of seriously concrete physical evidence that stands out against the rest. It stands out against all the witness testimony. It stands out against her 4 friends that corroborated her story from the 90s. It stands out against the therapist notes that corroborate her story from her therapist in the 90s that she saw. The most concrete evidence that I said a second ago is so concrete because there's only about 10 people on Earth who are going to have a DNA profile that matches yours. The likelihood of they being the perpetrator of the crime, the likelihood of a roll of the dice resulting in somebody with your exact DNA profile, it's so unlikely. It's like getting struck by lightning indoors. It just simply isn't a mathematical possibility. Every single mathematical analysis we do of the of how verifiable evidence is in court pales in DNA pales that all in comparison because it's so unlikely for one person to have your DNA match. If I was running for president again, the court said, Oscar, we could clear this up. There's this dress. She says your DNA is on it. You said you never met her. Can you provide a sample of your DNA? This is a civil case, so you technically have the right to say no, but you're running for president. You're trying to get back in control of the country. You're trying to get your platform respectful. You're trying to make sure that women in this and children in this country feel safe. Please provide your DNA. I want you to provide for me a reason why it would be at all acceptable for me to say no.
You don't have to legally. And without it, they still can convict you, which is what happened to Donald Trump.
Do you think that the president, when trying to be... No,
acknowledge what I just said. Stop making me drink... No. Oscar,
you didn't even know what I was going to say.
Listen to me for a moment. You're making me drink from a fire hydrant. You're going so fast. I understand that you're very smart. This is a good conversation, and I like being up here. However, you have got to calm down, and you need to understand the answer that I just gave you. Address that before you ask me another question.
All right,
you don't need to provide your DNA legally.
I was in the... You interrupted me before I said a full sentence. How do you know that I was not responding to that?
You just spoke for like 30 whole seconds. Listen to what I'm saying. You asked for the reason. Here you go. You don't have to provide it legally, and you can still be convicted of the crime without providing it. Respond to that.
Just because he doesn't...
respond to the answer that I just gave you.
I'm trying. Why are you interrupting me every time I open my mouth?
Go ahead. I'll be quiet. I'll even mute myself for you. Here you go.
You don't have to mute yourself. I don't use the mute button on my show. You shouldn't have to. Control yourself. My goodness. Seriously.
Just respond, and then let's move on.
Okay. I do not recognize because he didn't have to being a good answer. I recognize that he has the option. Well. I'm saying he chose the option that makes him look like a rapist. Why did he do that?
I can't give you a reason.
Because there is no good reason for somebody who's running for president to do that. Make up one right now. Give me a good reason in a vacuum.
I'm not gonna,
hypothetical
no,
Oscar for president. Why might I do it?
You're not
you can't imagine a reason why it's acceptable.
What I can or can't say.
What you can't say is you are not able to say a good reason for you are not able to offer a good explanation for his behavior for a very simple reason. There is no good explanation for his reason. I'm asking you to use your imagination and come up with one. And I told you that earlier. I was like, I think that he should have. I think that he should have given his DNA. Right. And I think that one thing, we could throw everything else we know about Donald Trump out the window. That one decision is enough to say this disqualifies the president, unless the other candidate did something as
disqualifies him, but doesn't make him a rapist.
It disqualifies him because it makes me almost certain that he's a rapist. So are you saying that the E. Jean Carroll case is the only thing that you look to when you're talking about Donald Trump being a rapist, or no? I'm saying there's lots of other things about that. The fact that, I mean, we could talk about the Epstein files, but we're not going to until you offer an explanation for his behavior, because I told you that there's only two ways. I'm this behavior for myself, not others. I can't give you an explanation for his behavior. Do you recognize that is because? Do you recognize that is because there is no reasonable explanation for his behavior? Not even one you could make up. Well, it's reasonable that he wouldn't do it because he doesn't legally have to. And that's you don't not reasonable at all. We don't agree on that. Okay, let's address that. You have the specific claim, which is that it's acceptable for him to not do something that he doesn't have to do. Not acceptable. I'm saying he should have, in my opinion, he should have. If he's innocent, he should have. When I say acceptable, let's define words. When I say acceptable, what I mean is that you still support him as president. That's what I mean as acceptable. If he does something unacceptable, that means that you don't support him as president anymore. That's specifically what I mean by that. You do support him as president, so you do, with that definition in mind, consider it acceptable what he did. I'm saying it's unacceptable. I'm asking you to present some sort of context, some sort of explanation, some sort of reason that makes it reasonable for him to use his free will to decide to do the thing that makes him look like a rapist. It makes sense to me that he did that if he raped her. It does not make sense to me that he did that if he did not rape her. That has nothing to do with whether or not he was legally required to, because we can't judge a political candidate by whether or not the things they do are legally allowable. You do a lot of optional things. You go and shake hands. You might knock on doors if you're running for local office. You might make posters. You might hire a graphic designer. Educate me on what kind of DNA was on her dress. Male DNA. What kind of male DNA? I don't know off the top of my head. Well, then I don't really know what the point of this whole thing is. That's a pivot and a dodge, and you know it. Stand up for yourself. Show me that you actually care about what you believe in. Show me that you actually care about women. What kind of DNA was on the dress? Show me that you actually show me that you actually believe in protecting women in this country from people who will commit crimes against them that are of the sort you said yourself you have experienced. What kind of DNA is on the dress? I am not going to answer. I told you I don't know the exact answer to that question. You're not going to answer this, and I'm not going to answer your question. Can we move on? No, we're not going to move on. It's like mommy and daddy fighting at the dinner table. Everyone's uncomfortable. Let's move on. Yeah, no, I don't know. Chat, let us know if you're uncomfortable. I think you're the one who's uncomfortable. Provide for me a reason it makes sense for any political candidate. I would have left if I was uncomfortable. I think that you don't want to leave because you know it'll make you look worse than staying. But what will make you look a lot better is present to be any conceivable line of reasoning that a presidential candidate might use. Somebody said in the chat that it was semen. Okay, so it was semen then. Okay. Yeah, he should have given his DNA. If he didn't, then why do you support him as president? Because he was still found guilty even if he didn't. You're asking me. We don't know that. That doesn't make any. That doesn't have to do with what I'm asking. Ask the fucking president, dude. I can't give I'm asking you to use your imagination and come up with any... It can be as convoluted as you want. I just want any possible explanation for his behavior. Mine is yours, unfortunately. I know that. That's clear to me. I just want you to use what little imagination that you... Pivot. Give me an moving to a different topic to get away from this one. Yeah, that's a pivot itself. I'm not going to let you out of it. You are either going to hang up the call and run away, or you're going to provide an explanation that makes sense for any political candidate refusing to provide DNA evidence that would exonerate them. Exonerate's a word that Trump really likes when it comes to accusations of rape that the public generally believes. Yeah, I've said several times he absolutely should give his DNA. He was still found guilty. And you absolutely shouldn't have voted for him because he didn't. That's my argument. I cannot understand why you consider that behavior acceptable. Because I don't think that he did it. I don't fucking care, lady.
I know you don't care.
I only care about the answer to the question, why did he refuse to provide his DNA to the courts? Because if he hadn't raped DJ Carroll...
I've given you a few and you don't accept any of them.
Your answer is because he doesn't have to. I think he has to if he wants to provide evidence to the public that he's not a rapist. Because I think his DNA is on the rape victim's dress, and I don't think he wants the public to know that. And you are sitting here pivoting and trying to get away from my line of questioning, which has arrived at a very little place. I like to call it the corner. The corner is where you were sitting. And in this corner, we answer exactly one question. The question is, why did Donald Trump not provide his DNA to the court? Provide for me.
I have no idea.
I don't think it's that you don't have any idea. I think that it is impossible to even come up with a hypothetical answer to that question that makes sense.
I think that he should have. And you're saying, well, then why wouldn't he? I have no fucking clue, dude. I'm not Trump. I think it makes him look guilty. I don't think he is guilty, but I think it makes him look guilty. I think it's not great for his image. Did it stop him from being in office? No. Did it stop me from voting for him? No.
Do you think that a candidate for office in this country should do everything within their power to convince the public that they're not a rapist if they are accused of being a rapist? Do you think they should sacrifice their own privacy in service of that goal?
Repeat the question.
Do you think that somebody running for office should do everything within their power to convince the public that they are not a rapist if they are accused of rape, even if it means sacrificing their own privacy? Because I do recognize that providing your DNA to the courts is a sacrifice of privacy.
I mean, like overall, sure, I guess. I don't think that it's a definite, because like you're not gonna like my
imagine they found a woman who had been raped,
but I don't imagine. I don't have a good imagination.
Imagine, yeah, I know, and we're gonna keep putting that on display. Imagine if they found a woman. Imagine we're gonna do a hypothetical. We're gonna see if you can deal with a hypothetical.
Oh God,
in my hypothetical,
Dean does hypotheticals with me all the time.
I'm not Dean. Listen, imagine we find a woman.
You said it, not me.
I know
I'm listening. Go ahead. That was me.
I don't think you are listening, but I'm going to try anyway. Imagine
I am listening.
We're going to continue the hypothetical where I'm running for president, and they find a woman in a ditch somewhere who has been raped and beaten to death with a hammer. And the hammer's sitting right there. Yeah, it's a pretty nasty hypothetical because we're talking about some very serious shit, so strap in. Sorry if it's triggering, but you did call in to talk about it. I think that the warning comes...
I did not call in to talk about rape.
You called in to... Donald Trump is a rapist? Yes, you did.
No, he's not.
You can hit the run button if you want, but I'm going to continue my hypothetical. In my hypothetical, we find a woman who has been bashed to death with a hammer after being raped. Perhaps we don't know which thing happened first. All we know is that she has been raped and that she's been bashed to death with a hammer. So there's some male DNA on or inside of her and some fingerprints on the hammer, and people think I did it. But there isn't enough evidence for the courts to subpoena me for the evidence. It's not a criminal trial, maybe. Maybe there's, well, there wouldn't be statute of limitations on a murder, but let's just say they don't have enough evidence necessarily to get a criminal charge against me that would have them subpoena me for evidence. But the public really thinks I did it. There's some details that line up. There's some inconsistencies in my storytelling. The public really thinks I did it. I'm running for president.
Like, is there like video footage or something?
There's DNA on and inside of her, and there's fingerprints on the hammer that are like...
But what does that have to do with you?
What if I refused to provide my DNA and fingerprints to the courts when they said, hey, can you please provide your DNA?
Well, why would they accuse you of it? What's the other evidence that you were there?
Perhaps there was a photograph of me at the bar talking to her that night. Perhaps the security footage at the bar shows us leaving together. Maybe that's all the evidence they have, and that's not enough to subpoena me, depending on what the local jurisdiction and case precedent is. But the courts ask, hey, Oscar, just so we can rule you out, I know you're running for president, you really don't want these accusations on your record. Could you please just provide your DNA and fingerprints to make sure that you're not obviously the person who raped and murdered this woman?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, what if I don't?
Then I think it makes you look guilty.
That is exactly the case with Trump and Agent Carroll. You understand that, right?
Yeah, but just because he didn't give it doesn't mean that he is guilty, and he was still convicted even without giving it.
You poor human being. What happened to you? What was your dad like? What was your dad like?
My dad?
Yeah, what's your dad like?
He's awesome. He's one of the nicest and funniest men I've ever met in my life. God bless him. I called him yesterday.
What kind of values did he teach you?
Values in the sense of like how I view the world or how I view myself or how I view men. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I just want to hear you talk about that. Like, I could tell you that my dad taught me to really value self-education. He like was really proud of my ability to learn how to do new things by myself, and he really nurtured that because he saw it was something I was always going to be interested in, all these different projects. It really like, I'm neurodivergent, I have ADHD, and like the fact that he taught me that lesson has made me a person who copes with that really well. And I teach that lesson to a lot of people in my life who get diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, that you can leverage that to be a better person. Like values, right? Like I can think about my dad and think, you know, for all his flaws, he taught me some really valuable things about what it means to be a good person and to be a successful person in the ways that it should matter to a person ethically and just in terms of how you live your life. I just want to know what some of those values are for you.
Yeah, my dad taught me how to love and ensure empathy and build trust. He also has raised me to be honest and to always pursue truth, to continue to have my own self-worth, not allow my self-worth to be degraded by what anybody says or does, to continue to further to seek to educate myself, educate others as I see fit, to be courageous and not fearful of people in this world, to continue to seek God and a relationship with Jesus, maintain my membership in the Catholic Church, et cetera, et cetera. He's awesome, awesome person, awesome man. God bless him.
He taught you to pursue truth. Mm-hmm. So do you think that Donald Trump has that value, given that he refused to provide his DNA to the courts to show the public the truth about whether or not his DNA is on that dress? Do you think he's living up to that particular value?
No.
Okay, so I asked you for
I
asked you for the values that are important to you.
I think he should have. I think it makes him look guilty.
Why do you support a president who goes against your values?
He doesn't go against my values in the sense of like, well, first of all, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Hold on. You just said he doesn't go against your values.
He doesn't go against my values.
Okay, let's review what's happened in the last 60 seconds.
Oh my God.
I asked for your values. You listed. No, we're not going to. I know because you know where I'm going and you don't like it.
You asked about my relationship with my dad.
Yeah, and you listed a value. Yeah, we haven't figured out what happened to you. Maybe we will in a minute. But for right now, we're going to focus on the fact that just a moment ago, you said that one of your values is truth. I asked you point blank if what Donald Trump did by refusing to provide his DNA to the courts is upholding that value. And you said no. So no, he's not upholding your values. And then I said you're supporting a president who doesn't uphold your values. And then you said that was wrong. So where's
that one value? There's all these other ones.
He certainly doesn't uphold all of your values, and he certainly doesn't uphold all of the values that are most important to you, because I asked you for the big ones, and that was one of the first ones you gave.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you trying to prove? That, like, I'm a hypocrite or something?
Yes, I'm trying to prove to you that your support of Donald Trump is against your own values. I don't believe that he raped her. But what he's doing
that he raped her.
Is in violation of your own most core values.
One of them. I don't believe that he did it.
That's a big fucking deal, yo.
They convicted him without the evidence anyway.
To be technical, they didn't convict him because the statute of limitations had expired.
They found him civilly liable.
Yes,
they found him civilly liable without providing the DNA anyway. So I don't know what this.
When you keep saying without him providing the DNA anyway, what I'm trying to suggest is that if he was innocent, his odds would have been better in the case if he provided his evidence, his DNA. About 10,000 times. Yes, he should have given his DNA. Without giving his DNA, it does make him look guilty. And I cannot understand how you support him. I cannot understand how you support him. Never mind whether or not he did it. What the specific thing that we agree on him doing is refusing to provide his DNA to exonerate himself in that civil case. I don't know if exonerate's the technically accurate word for the same reason we just mentioned about him being convicted versus found civilly liable. But I hope you can see that that's irrespective to my point. My point is that you agree that he did this thing that goes against your values, that makes him look like a rapist. How in the ever-living fuck did you vote for somebody who went against your own core values in a way that makes them look like a rapist? What the fuck is wrong with you, lady?
I can give you the 3 reasons why I voted for him.
Yeah, fine. Let's go with your direction. What are they?
Number 1, the work that he did in
wait. Oh, I was gonna say. We've talked before. I have so many Instagram followers from the last time I cooked you. Your 3 reasons are his work for overturning Roe v. Wade, getting women out of sports, and what was the other one? Or getting trans people out of sports, right? Okay, what are they?
No.
I'll let you go ahead. Maybe you've changed them.
No, not trans people out of sports. I actually don't really care how much if trans people are in sports or not. Number 1, the work that he did in getting Roe v. Wade overturned. The second is the EO that he said he would pass, which he did, which limits children from being physically and chemically mutilated under the guise of gender-affirming care. And the third is because Charlie Kirk supported him, endorsed him, and worked to get him into office.
Yeah. I remember now. And then we talked. Last time you gave me that list, I zoomed right in on the third one, and I talked about how Charlie Kirk didn't have values.
Yeah, you dropped me.
I don't think I did drop you.
You did.
I think we talked for a long time.
We did talk for a long time, and then you dropped me on my other account. This is my backup. I got banned yesterday after talking to Dean.
You think I remember what your username was from like a month and a half ago?
I remembered you.
You might be a pick-me girl, but I promise I'm not going to be the one picking you, okay?
Oh, it's okay. I don't need you to pick me.
Okay, let's talk about...
Somebody said my name in the chat. They know me down there. Yeah, it's me. I'm Kenzie.
Kenzie, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, you're quite a famous pick-me girl. That's not an accomplishment.
I am kind of... People do know me. You can say that about me.
Any attention's good attention, I'm guessing, is your perspective.
No, not all attention's good attention. No. Mm-hmm. Look down there. Do you support what happened to Charlie Kirk? Just wanted to know.
No.
Because these people down here are laughing at... Well, then you should say that's wrong when they are typing down there. But you're like, freedom of speech and...
Yeah, and just pivoting on to other stuff, I still think that you've demonstrated yourself to be a reprehensible human being both today and the previous time that you called in.
What do you mean reprehensible?
You support a person who goes against your values in a way that makes them look like a rapist. You admitted both of those things in this call, and you still support him. You haven't offered me a good reason why. You care too much about your perspective on trans issues. You care too much about your perspective on abortion. You care too much about your perspective on Charlie Kirk, who's dead and also wasn't a politician and didn't actually have any political power in this country. You care too much about those things.
I do not disagree with you that he wasn't a politician. Absolutely not. But he is a martyr and an American hero.
No, he's not a hero.
He is a hero.
No.
Here, Mr. Definitions, right? What's the definition of hero? I love talking about
somebody who saves people from peril.
No, that's not, if I type in hero definition, that's not. Look at that face. That's not what's going to come up. I can educate you if you'd like.
Let's see what the dictionary says.
I talk about this all the time on my panels, all the time.
Wow, you talk about something all the time. It must be accurate then.
Look up the definition of hero.
Let's see.
Look it up.
So hero.
You tell me.
Let's go to definition. I'm gonna skip the AI thing. We're gonna go with Merriam-Webster if you're okay with that.
Period. That's what I use.
God, I need to verify I'm human because I look up so many goddamn definitions on this show. Merriam-Webster's skeptical of me. So like the old school definition, a mythological or legendary figure often of divine descent. That's definition 1. Definition 2.
That's like superhero.
Yeah. 2, the principal character in a literary or dramatic work. Definition 3, an object of extreme admiration and devotion. Okay, I guess he probably fits that definition. 4, a large... wow, is they... Hey, you know what? I think I was wrong about this. I think we get a W for the guess because 4 is a large sandwich, which is not what that is. I'm surprised there isn't an obvious definition that involves like being like the saver, the rescuer. That's fine. That's very interesting. C would be a person like under definition 1. There's like a person who shows great courage, person admired for achievements. Okay, yeah, I'll give it to you. The dictionary definition was not
a person admired for their courage, outstanding achievements, and noble qualities. That's typically what it is. When you go in between Merriam-Webster and...
I'll concede it. My dictionary definition didn't align very well with my own for hero. Because I defined it as a person who saves people from peril, I don't think that he did that. I think that it's true that you admire him in the way that the dictionary definition offers.
Not worship.
I corrected myself. I
just want to confirm.
Yep. Admire is the word. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll give you that. I don't think that you should admire him for what he did. I think that what he did while he was here was really bad. I think it's likely that we can attribute deaths to Charlie Kirk because he popularized the notion that Roe v. Wade should be overturned. He created political interest around that, and women have died because of not being able to receive life-saving care where they need.
Whoa, wait a second.
I'm talking about ectopic pregnancies. I consider Charlie Kirk culpable for the deaths in the same way that I consider Donald Trump culpable for the deaths of people during COVID because he provided misinformation to the public that caused.
You would think that Charlie Kirk is more culpable for that than the doctors that provide those in the first place, right? Because I actually want to ask you this. Do you think that Charlie Kirk has any outstanding achievements?
Sure, probably.
Okay. Do you think that
I don't think he was stupid. I'll just say this. So if you tell me that he won a spelling bee in school, I'll say good job, good spelling, Charlie Kirk. Yeah, he was a person.
Well, then give me some examples of achievements that you know about him.
I don't think that anything that he achieved
If you
was
don't know
good.
any, I can give you. Actually, like
He started a big successful company, but I think his company's fucking evil, so I don't value that. Organization, whatever you want to call it. I think it's an evil organization. I think Turning Point USA sucks, and what they're doing is harmful to society in the ways that...
It's 3 parts of this definition that he can fit into. And the first one I like to talk about with people are the outstanding achievements. Yeah, just because he started a successful organization, that doesn't mean, oh, he's a hero. No, it's one part of the achievements, which is one of 3 parts of what makes him a hero. So it's like people say, oh, he was a podcaster. Okay, well, just because he was a podcaster, no, that doesn't make him a hero. But that a successful podcaster would be an achievement, which is one of 3 parts of what would make him an American hero.
Having looked up the definition of hero, I don't give half a shit that you think Charlie Kirk was a hero. I don't think it has any relevance to anything important. Doesn't have anything to do with the safety of women and children. Doesn't have anything to do with the politics of this country. I don't give a flying fuck. Call him a hero all you want. If it's technically accurate for him to be a hero because you admire him for things he's done, sure. Checkbox, fucking W guessed, whatever. What the fuck matters? He still wanted to subjugate women.
You asked me why I voted for Trump, and Charlie Kirk supported him. And that's one of the reasons why I voted for him, because I support Charlie Kirk. In fact, I want to leave my current job and work for Turning Point USA. I'm in like the 3rd round of interviews to work for them. So yeah, I absolutely support Charlie Kirk and everything.
If you get a job at Turning Point USA, tell Savannah Hernandez to call into my show.
Okay. If I get hired there, I'll still come here and hang out with you because you're good fun.
Yeah, so fun talking to you, Kenzie. It's not fun talking to you, Kenzie.
You can drop me if you don't want to talk to me anymore. It's okay.
Well, no,
It's a good conversation.
You know, some people would say that I'm the martyr for talking to people like you. I see that in the comments a lot.
If that's supposed to insult me, it doesn't. It's okay. I've dealt with bigger, badder, meaner, smarter.
So?
Are we going to go back to why I voted for Trump or no?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't really value your perspective on anything. Are you upset with me using the word man as an interjection in that sentence? I say words like,
just a little shocking.
Man, really?
Man. Like if I was like, girl, be so for real. And you'd be like...
Wouldn't offend me at all. My friends call me girl all the time, especially when I'm being sassy.
Okay.
If you had my phone number, you'd know that I like the little nail polish emoji for when I'm being sassy in a text message.
Oh, period. I love it. Good for you. That's really funny, actually.
I'm secure in my identity. I know that that's like difficult for you to comprehend.
No.
I think that the reason you're upset that I use the phrase man is because you're insecure in your identity, and you offered as an example of something that would bother me.
You think that I'm like offended?
You flipped it back on me. You flipped it back on me and asked me if I would be offended, and I said no, I simply wouldn't. I mean,
usually when I talk to people on the internet, especially men, they don't go man when they're talking like to me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Why did you offer the example of you calling me girl? Did you expect it to offend me?
No. I was just wondering how you'd respond, because when I responded that way to man, I wanted to know
how you wondering whether or not it would offend me?
No, I just want to know if you'd have the same reaction that I did when you called me man.
What was that reaction?
I was just like taken back for a second, like, oh, okay, damn, like what the fuck, man.
I get called worse things than girl on this show, and I let it slide. I
don't think calling a girl would be insulting to you, and I'm not insulted that you said man when you're referring to me. I was just shocked that you said that, because usually when I talk to men, they don't go man when they're talking like to me or referring to me. Whoa, Will down there is calling me piggy. That's not very nice. Are we going to get back to Trump?
Wait, well, I mean, Trump calls women piggy. Do you think that's unacceptable behavior?
Yeah, that's not nice. I don't support every single thing Donald. I'm not like, oh my God, he's the best president ever. Oh my God, he's a god. We should worship him. Oh my God, he's this and that. He can't do anything wrong. No, he's a fucking idiot.
All right, fine. Let's go back to Trump, because I'll remind you that you are still in the corner. Can you provide for me a reasonable explanation for why he didn't provide his evidence to the court that his DNA wasn't on that dress?
No, I can't.
You can't. You're not able, correct?
I am not able.
You see, that's a problem, right?
More than I was going to say something rude. I'm not going to say it.
Please say it.
No. I want to be nice.
No, I don't want you to be nice.
No, I misbehaved you. I got to be nice. It's okay.
No, I want you to be honest. Don't worry about manners. What you've said is so reprehensible. You're not going to make me think less of you for anything you say. You could scream the N-word at me. And
It's okay.
You're already at the bottom of the barrel. You can't go any lower. Say whatever you want. What were you going to say?
Why haven't you like dropped me, moved on? Then is no one else requesting?
People like to watch people like you dig their own graves.
I'm not digging my own grave. actually have a lot of supporters watching right now. They think it's funny. But anyway, Oscar, I'll be honest with you. I know we disagree on probably like fundamentally everything, but I actually do think that you're really funny, and I do like talking to you.
I'm not gonna pick you, lady.
Oh, I don't want you to. Absolutely not. But I think that you're really funny and you're a good content creator. I just wanted you to know that.
I don't give a shit what you think of me, man. You're not able to judge whether or not the president is rapist in a sensible way. Do you think your opinion of me matters?
My beliefs of you. I'm just saying, like, I think that you're really funny and I like talking to you.
Dude.
You said that I'm in the corner and I'm still... Okay.
The pick me girl was trying to get me to pick her. This is fucking hilarious.
I don't need you. No, I do.
You want to go on a date, Kenzie?
I don't need you. I don't want you.
Trying to ask me out? You can just say it.
No, I don't want to go out with you.
You like talking to me?
If your DNA ended up on my dress and I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go down there.
Please speak from your heart, Kenzie. Stop cutting yourself off. My God.
No, I can't. I can't finish these.
You have to finish them. What about my DNA being on your dress? Fucking say it. The audience wants to know. What was it?
I can't.
No, tell me.
You said that I'm in the corner and that...
Nope, you're in a new corner. The new corner is that you started, if you said to me that if my DNA was on your dress and then you cut yourself off, said you shouldn't finish it. I would like to know where that sentence was going.
I don't want to finish the sentence. It's not nice.
I don't want you to be nice. I want you to be honest. I want you to tell me where that was going, because I think that you were speaking impulsively, and I'm so curious where it was going to go. It's so much more interesting than all this other bullshit that you've already told me before.
My friends tell me that there's like Kenzie, and then my alter ego is Kenzie, and like regular Kenzie is like the silly goofy one, and then like Kenzie comes out and it's like crazy unfiltered. But yeah, I like have like Tourette's when I like say shit impulsively. I was just saying, I was just trying to compliment you, and then you're talking about blah.
So let's hear the compliment.
I already said it to you. I said, I think that you're really fun to talk to. I think that you're funny. And I think that you're a good content creator. Even though we fundamentally disagree on pretty much everything, I think that you're very like fun and entertaining. And you're good at what you're doing. You're successful.
See, the fact that
you say like
you're so you according to your own values, you think I support the murder of infants. Is that correct?
I mean, I don't know. We haven't really talked about your views on abortion.
I think abortion should be available to women until about 22 weeks, something like that. You think that's murder, right?
I think I don't think it is murder. You're ending a human life unlawfully.
Ending a human life unlawfully.
Unjustly, not unlawfully.
Yeah, that's what murder is, like by definition. So you think that it is murder to abort a fetus, right? In most circumstances?
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm no longer an abolitionist. I used to be an abolitionist, but I've changed my beliefs on that. Now I'm pro-life with one exception.
Okay. Yeah. So you think that I support murder, but you still think that I'm cool and you want to spend time with me because I'm entertaining and successful. That's a demonstration of your lack of conviction about your values, which is in alignment actually with your support of Donald Trump. You like me and are entertained by me because I'm so charismatic and charming. You are correct that it is because I'm charismatic and charming that I am skilled at this. Trump, I will give it to him. He's losing it because he's getting a little senile. But for much of his career, he needs
to get off social media for sure.
He was entertaining and he was charismatic, and you supported him even though he goes against your values. And here you are demonstrating that you lack conviction in those values so much that you're willing to put them aside, even though you think I literally support the murder of infants because I'm so fun to talk to.
I mean, we've been having a good conversation.
I'll turn it back around on you. Have a spine, girl.
Have a spine?
Yeah.
You think that I'm just here like fucking around, like I don't find any value in this?
Given what you think about abortion, it makes you a shitty person that you like me at all. Absolutely. Because you think I'm a monster. You think I support reprehensibly horrible positions.
I think that you're... Obviously, I think that you're very misguided on your beliefs about abortion. I think that you supporting, I would argue that you supporting Planned Parenthood would mean that not only do you support murder, but you also are racist because Planned Parenthood is racist.
Yeah, so you think that about me, but you're still sitting here and saying how much you like talking to me and spending time with me because I'm charming. This is pick-me-girl behavior. You still
I never said charming.
whatever the fuck you said. It doesn't matter. You said, you're picking out a particular word. What was the word you used? What did you say about me? You said I was entertaining? You said it was something like that?
Yeah, I said that I think that you're funny. I think that your content is entertaining, and your account is obviously very successful. I just think that you're good fun, even though we disagree on everything.
Yeah, I think it's shitty.
We don't disagree on everything, because you also would agree that you are funny and entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Blah, okay.
I don't know. I mean, like, you're right. The proof is in the pudding. My social media platform has been successful. I am good at some of the things that a person is required to be good at. And I'm saying that you're more interested in those things than your own values, which is why you're like sitting here fucking glazing me while I fucking demolish your position on all this shit. And I'm arguing that you're glazing me for the same reason you glaze Donald Trump, even though he's a rapist. You glaze me even though I'm, according to you, somebody who supports the murder of infants. And you glaze Donald Trump even though, according to you, he did a thing that's very suspicious and makes him look like a rapist. You see the parallel?
No.
Your brain's not working.
No, it is.
No, he's not.
Okay.
I want you to explain how you don't see the parallel.
I really don't. I really don't see the parallel. I don't
think you're that stupid, Kenzie. I think you're being disingenuous. I think it makes you look bad what I pointed out.
Oh.
Well, look, I talked to some dunces. I talked to some people who can't.
For the compliment, Oscar.
I talked to some people who can't read very well. I talked to people who can't add two-digit numbers. I bet you could. I'm not going to give you a math quiz, but I bet you'd pass some.
You would not like to know what I do for a living now. Then go ahead.
I'm saying that I talk to a lot of people who are incomprehensibly stupid. I just don't think that you're one of them. I don't think that's what's going on with you. What do you do for a living?
I'm a teacher.
Yeah, that's like sad for kids. I was just a high school teacher. I quit to run this show full time, and a lot of people think that's terrible.
That's why I like talking to you, because you're also an educator. Good for you. Well, you stopped and started to do this.
I retired from educating the youth to educate you instead. Educate everybody watching this show. Whoa, that's what happened. That happened like 3 weeks ago.
You haven't educated me on anything. Like, I haven't learned anything new from being up here.
And that's devastating.
Especially because you like to use, like, instead of using actual examples, you use, like, hypotheticals. And I told you, I don't really have a very good imagination.
Why are you doing my job for me, Kenzie?
Trump,
Why? Like, you're such a pick-me girl. I just have to sit here and you dunk on yourself and glaze me. Like, I could just sit here quietly and let you take the floor.
Glaze you. I mean, I could. I love talking. But I also like
what age kids do you teach?
Itty bitties.
Itty bitties? I've worked with all age groups. You talking about toddlers?
No, my specialty is with pre-K to 3rd.
Okay. No.
I don't teach older kids because they'll give me attitude and I'll give it right back. I like the little ones because they're cute.
You lack the character attributes that are required to work with older kids. Interesting.
No, I have a preference for what age group I like to be around in order to be the most effective at my job, which I am. Okay.
I'll actually say something in your favor. I don't think for that age group, assuming you're not trying to indoctrinate these kids about religion or politics, I think that there's a perfectly good chance that you're good at your job. Because I think that sort of care is not really like these sorts of value systems that I misalign with you on are not all that relevant to the raising of like kids that young. It's been my
I work in Title I public schools in low-income, high-crime communities because that's where God wants me to be, and I don't talk to them at all about.
Yeah, but you can't handle kids after they develop critical reasoning, which I find to be fucking hilarious. You said
I just know myself. Like, I can be impulsive in what I say, and so if they say something to like insult me or whatever, like I know there's a chance that I might say something back to them, and so to stop me from doing that, I prefer to work with younger kids because older kids can be mean, and I don't like talking to. Like, I can't handle if they're gonna like say some dumb shit, refuse to be in my room, get up and leave, blah blah blah. Like, yeah, but I like working with the little ones because they're more fun.
You mentioned the Catholic. You mentioned Catholicism earlier. You're a Catholic?
Yes, I'm a Catholic, but I don't work in a Catholic school and I don't talk about Catholicism with my students.
I'm glad to hear that. This is a bit of a change because we talked about the education thing and I don't really feel any need to poke that further. You gave some reasonable answers about it. I don't think it's reasonable for you to support the Catholic Church. I think that the Catholic Church is guilty of an organized effort to protect pedophiles, which is something that also Donald Trump is guilty of. So I'd like to talk about that.
Okay. I'm not saying that there aren't bad people in the Catholic Church and that there aren't priests that haven't done stuff to kids, and there's people, in the church that would not want them to be exposed. There's bad people in every religion.
I recognize the bad apples spoiling the bunch, but I'm not talking about the bad apples. I'm talking about the people at the top who have orchestrated an organized effort to take those bad apples, move them to a place where they're not known to be a bad apple, and let them continue working for the Catholic Church. I'm talking about the organized effort from the Vatican to do that.
Okay.
I'd like your thoughts.
I mean, I don't think that that's happening at a rate that most people would consider to be like, well, first of all, me being Catholic doesn't mean that I support that. Do you understand?
Okay. So you do recognize that the Catholic Church protects pedophiles and you don't support them?
Me being Catholic doesn't mean that I support protecting pedophiles.
Which is why I asked point blank if you recognize that the Catholic Church protects pedophiles.
But there's good and bad people in every religion.
Yes or no?
So I need you to respond to what I just said.
You didn't respond to what I just said.
If I'm Catholic
I'm not going to let you
and I don't have anything,
yes or no?
If I'm Catholic,
excuse me,
it doesn't
Kenzie,
mean in order for you to be Catholic means that you have to.
Kenzie.
Yes, sir. What's up? Hi, Oscar.
Yes
Hi.
or no? The Catholic Church protects pedophiles. True or false?
Honestly, I don't think so. I would say no.
The pause and your inability to answer that question a moment ago suggests to me that you're not well read, and you took that pause a moment ago to think to yourself, all right, he's got me in another corner. I'm just going to plead ignorance and say that I don't know enough of the facts of the situation.
No, I don't think that they would. I don't think a priest in a church that does things like that to kids and the Vatican finds about it, and then they would move him to a new church because they don't want him to be exposed. Like, they don't want the abuse to be exposed.
Now that I have pointed out that I believe that to be a widespread ongoing issue with the Catholic Church, do you think
I don't think that that's a widespread ongoing issue.
Right, yeah. Do you think, are you going to check that later? Are you going to Google it?
Well, let me say this.
Answer the question. Are you going to check later?
Stop. Let me say what I need to say. So if that is happening and I don't know about it, does that mean that I support that happening? Yes or no?
I think that if you fail...
The answer is no. If I'm Catholic and I don't know that that's happening, does that make me a supporter of that? Yes or no?
Sorry, phrase it again. I want to be very careful and technical about how I answer this. I'll give you a yes or no. Try again. I just want to make sure I heard it correctly.
I'm a confirmed Catholic, a cradle Catholic. I've never experienced anything about priests being pedophiles. And if I don't know that that's going on, does that mean that my membership of the Catholic Church, my identity, means that I support that happening? If it is happening and I don't know about it, does that mean I support it?
No,
yes or no?
No. But your disinterest in investigating those claims does.
I'm not disinterested in it. I just don't think that it's happening at a rate that would be like, oh my God, like we need to, you said it's...
What is an acceptable number of pedophiles for the Catholic Church to hide?
0. There should be no pedophiles in the Catholic Church.
Okay, so when you say at a rate, that rate is supposed to be 0, right?
You said that the rate is massive. That it's like this big, like, criminal organization type shit where it's like all these people are doing it and the Vatican's covering up for everybody because they don't want it to be exposed. Mm-hmm. Well, if it already is exposed and we know about it, then what the fuck do they have to hide?
The widespread practice of protecting pedophiles in the Catholic Church has this nasty issue, which is that because I'm in a corner, watch me get out of it. Because we know that they've done it so many times, it suggests there's a great many times where they've done it that we haven't caught them for, which means that there's a great many pedophiles who probably work for the Catholic Church in their churches who have not been caught. I consider that an emergency. Do you?
Sure. But I haven't seen any evidence. I haven't experienced any issue.
You haven't checked.
This happening.
Are you going to Google this? Are you at all? You said I'm reasonable. You said I'm intelligent. You said I'm articulate. You've complimented me in my ability to run this show. Do you think that I'm just completely making this up? Do you think that I've been brainwashed by something that got said on the news? Do you think that I'm just okay? So
I'm sure that you've got evidence for this. I have my laptop open right now. What can I type?
Does the Catholic Church hide pedophiles?
Does the Catholic, what source is?
I actually haven't looked this one up. What was they made a movie about like the
you just said that you haven't looked this up.
I haven't looked it up in a long time. Let me look up the journalist's name that they made.
Are you saying that anybody that is a Catholic must be okay with child? I don't even know how I can even say it without getting your shit banned. I'm
saying that you're indifference to the victims of these crimes. Yeah, you're indifferent to the fact that.
Right, but my membership of the Catholic Church doesn't mean that I support that happening at all. And
yes,
you acknowledge that.
No, you supporting Donald Trump is you supporting rape.
Then you're changing your answer from earlier.
No, your question earlier was if you were ignorant of it, does that mean that you support it? And the answer to that was no, but it's that you're not trying to become less ignorant. It's that you're being willfully ignorant that means that you're
asked you for a source and you're like, oh, I haven't looked at this in a long time.
I'm looking it up. Boston Globe. Yeah, they did a huge investigation in 2002. They did an investigation into the Archdiocese of Boston, revealed extensive patterns of abuse and institutional concealment, which is what I'm talking about, the institution protecting the people who did the abuse, prompting national and international scrutiny. The reporting, later depicted in the film Spotlight, that's the movie I was talking about, led to the criminal prosecutions, resignations, and broader inquiries into clerical abuse in the United States and abroad. A subsequent investigation by the Dallas Morning News found that some accused priests had been transferred to other counties and reassigned to roles involving contact with children, and that nearly half of 200 examined cases involved attempts to evade law enforcement. And this is cited in a paper or in a release from the Boston Globe from April 8th, 2002. Michael Paulson was the author.
Well, I've got something from 2019.
And the Associated Press, which has a fantastically good track record of independent reporting about issues of public matters. I will remind you that the Associated Press are the people that we allow to call elections in this country. They, in June of 2004, released an article called "Accused Priests Shuffled Worldwide," referring to this moving around of pedophiles to protect them. So there's my source.
In 2019, the Pope Francis, who's
I'm sorry, you asked for my source, and I'm not interested in what the leader of this criminal organization had to say about it. I would like for you to respond to the fact that I did, in fact, have the sources. I had not actually looked that up in about 5 or 10 years. Forgive me for not knowing the names involved, but I did get the details right. Okay,
yeah, you have a source. And in order to rebuttal that with something relevant in the last 10 years, 2019, Pope Francis, who is the current Pope, abolished the use of the Vatican's highest level of secrecy in clergy sexual abuse cases, responding to the mounting criticism that the rule of pontifical secrecy has been used to protect pedophiles, silence victims, and prevent police from investigating crimes. So the current Pope is removing the pontifical secrecy to stop these people from doing these things. Because I'm not even going to get into the... Is your argument... By the way, you got the Pope wrong. That Pope is dead. That was the previous Pope. But I'm sorry. Is your argument that the thing I'm accusing the Catholic Church of doing is something that they stopped doing in 2019? Repeat that. Is your argument... I didn't hear what you said. Is your argument... It's okay. Is your argument that I'm right, but they stopped doing it in 2019? Is that your argument? I am trying to steelman you. No, I'm not saying that your article, your evidence isn't true. And I never denied that there aren't people in the Catholic Church that are doing these things. I'm talking about protecting those people. But the argument... Not protecting those people. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, that's. I read the source out. Where you were looking up something. You were looking for what the Pope had to say about it while I was reading out to you the source that you asked for, proving that yes, they did do that. I was trying to type in the source that you were saying so we could look at the same thing, and this is something that came up that I wanted to share. Well, conveniently, there's an entire Wikipedia article that compiles all these sources into one place. And Wikipedia is a good resource for finding sources because they cite every single line of text in it with a good source that shows you where you can find that. So yes. I'd like for you to explain to me then, like, if I were to go on like a liberal panel and bring up Wikipedia as a source of information, why wouldn't it be ridiculed and belittled and dropped and mocked? Because I offered the direct source for the information. .org, .net, .gov, .edu, blah, blah, blah. I offered the direct source, which I used Wikipedia as a tool to find. The direct source is the Associated Press and the Boston Globe that originally did the investigation in 2002, which led to convictions. Yeah, I don't. Here's what I'm going to say. I obviously do not support pedophiles.
Yes, you do.
And I do not support people protecting pedophiles.
Yes, you do.
I mean, we can go back at like mommy and daddy arguing at the dinner table. Yes, no, yes, no. Like, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Do you support
we
Donald
disagree
Trump?
on this. I'm sorry?
Do you support Donald Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay, he has protected pedophiles. Do you support the Catholic Church as an institution?
Donald Trump has not protected pedophiles.
Yeah, we haven't brought up the Epstein files. Maybe that's what we'll do in the second half of the show after I read the ad read. I sense this is a Kenzie episode. Has the Catholic Church protected pedophiles? Oh, did that make you feel like I picked you? How nice. Has the Catholic Church protected pedophiles? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you support the Catholic Church?
Yes.
So you support an institution that has protected pedophiles?
My membership in the church doesn't mean that I support those people. It happens, but it doesn't mean that I support it.
Listen to yourself. Respect yourself. Like, what the fuck, lady? I just want to do it again. I just want you to know where we're going and see if you still follow me from the beginning. Has the Catholic Church protected pedophiles? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you support the Catholic Church?
Not the ones that protect pedophiles.
So a moment ago when you said yes, that wasn't the correct answer?
I'm sorry?
A moment
Repeat
ago,
that.
I asked you if you support the Catholic Church, and what you said was yes. You're changing your answer to no?
I mean, yeah, I support the Catholic Church, but I don't support pedophiles.
The Catholic Church is an entity that has protected pedophiles. The Catholic Church is an entity that has protected pedophiles. There are people who still work there who were involved in that protection. The Pope that you referenced has died. The Pope changed recently, so we can't talk about the current Pope. I don't actually have any evidence that the current Pope is involved in this because he just hasn't been Pope long enough for anything to come out, as far as I know. Maybe something has. But there are still people who work there. You know, the highest ranking members of the Catholic Church in the Vatican often hold their positions for like lifetimes, for like 40 or 50 years. Those people are still in charge. They have protected pedophiles. You admit it.
Pedophiles should come out.
Of course.
And be held accountable.
Of course.
And I agree with you. So me going to church on Sunday and being a confirmed Catholic doesn't mean that I support child pedophilia. Period.
The Catholic Church is an institution. I'm not asking about your religion.
It's not you're acting like it's like this fucking like monarch government. It's a religious sect.
It is run like a monarchy.
And
there is a single person
it's the only religion that can be traced back to Jesus Christ as the origin. And that's what we do. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
No, there are three Abrahamic religions.
And now you're going to pivot
Wait, hold on.
into
Hold on. You're just getting the facts wrong.
This is why I don't talk about religion on my panel.
There are three primary Abrahamic religions. Judaism has nothing to do with Jesus because they use the text that preceded him. Christianity is founded in Jesus. And Islam recognizes the existence of Jesus as this midway step because Islam was founded in the 700s or so, roundabout there, when their prophet Muhammad showed up. So they have some disagreements with you about who Jesus was and what he matters to God and all of that. But they do believe.
Of course they do, but
so it's not true that you say that that's the only religion that's founded in Jesus. That's nonsense. So is Mormonism, which I consider to be a different religion than Christianity because of its cult-like behavior.
I said it's the only religion that can be traced back to Jesus Christ as the sole origin.
Do you think I should kick you for $10, Kenzie? Sorry, I just got distracted by this $10 super chat. In fact, I'm actually going to go back. We're gonna have a little bit of a mid-roll because I know you respect me, not for the right reasons, but I'm going to ask that you respect the show, and I'm going to read the ads because Sackboss sent me $5 on YouTube super chat to say, motherfucker, it's the same thing with Epstein. This caller is going to plead innocence on that too. Yeah, maybe we'll see if we get there. And then another user whose username I can't read, sorry, so for $10 on YouTube super chat said, please kick this despicable person. She has been on your show long enough. There's a reason why she has been banned from other lives. Expect more donors to do so. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe Kenzie gets my bills paid today. Because somebody sent me $5 on Venmo. Melanie sent me $5 to say rate must be high enough and big enough. Yeah, I think we're talking about the rate of hiding.
Do you want me to leave?
Well, we're going to discuss that in just a moment after I finish my ad read, so sit tight. I'm just going to check if I have any Cash Apps to respond to. I think I do. Let's see. Yes, Christina said, look up Sun Michaud and his definition of racism. Oh, I will. That pertains to a conversation that happened. Oh, wait, no, that was yesterday. I forgot to read that one out on the show yesterday. My mistake. Michael also sent me $2 to say she was so close to getting to it. Yeah, I agree, Michael. I think deep down she knows. Anyway, the rest of the ad read is that I finally remembered to do it. If you're watching this on TikTok, there's 483 of you here. I'd really appreciate it if you click the Oskar Quentin 2 thing in the corner down here. That's my backup account that the show's going to be run through if this one gets a temporary ban, which happens to us hosts sometimes because TikTok censorship's pretty aggressive. So if you want to click on that and follow, that'd be great. Goal is to get that account to 10K. That's going to be kind of a following drive that we're going to have here on the show. If you're watching this elsewhere or after the fact on YouTube, you can go to the link tree in my bio and follow me by finding that at the bottom of the link tree next to my other backup account, Oskar Quentin Music. Should be great to follow both, but we're going to focus on Oskar Quentin 2 until it's at 10K. And you can follow me on all the platforms. That helps out immensely with the algorithms and just, keep making those numbers bigger, makes people take me more seriously and all that. It really, that helps out in a big way that doesn't cost a dime. And if you have a dime that you want to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon so I can pay my bills because the show pays the bills. Kenzie, my audience is getting sick of you. They want you gone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go because... Oh, she's running.
Mirror sent another $5 to say my vote for a kick. Claudia sent me $10 to say the chat is suffering due to the extent of intellectual dishonesty this is exhibiting.
Are you really getting those things, or are you just saying that? Oh, so-and-so is saying me to kick you, and so-and-so is saying to kick you, and so-and-so is saying to kick you. Are you, making it up, or is it actually, legit?
Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's, hold on. Let's see if I can do this.
And why did I'm boring, I guess? That's what they're saying? It's okay.
Well, hold on. You want proof, right? Let's turn the video on.
No, I was just wondering.
Hold on.
In case you're getting, sick of me or something.
I'm just trying to get this to work, because I want to show you the donations. I guess I could do it.
Well, let me ask, do you want me to leave?
They're on YouTube. You can go check on the YouTube. I'm having trouble.
Do you
I don't know. I'm undecided. People ask me, people donate to Kick, but at the end of the day, I run the show, and I do find you fucking fascinating. Canadian Vicky sent me $3 on YouTube super chat to say, Kenzie out now. I've heard her too many times. Keep her Kick, chat. We'll do a vote. I appreciate the donations, but
it's mean.
I don't know. Why is it mean? Don't you respect what I'm doing? Don't you respect me doing what my audience demands? I thought you respected how good I am at running my show.
Yeah, but
is it mean because you're not
me to leave and you're like, oh,
Gen X sent me $2 on Cash App to say pick me is getting toasted. Yeah, I think it's a further demonstration of exactly the type of pick me girl you are, that you kind of glazed me earlier, and now you're sad about the prospect of not being able to talk to me anymore.
If you do kick me, am I allowed to come back at some point, or am I going to get blocked?
I'm not going to block you. I'm probably wouldn't have you back on tomorrow, maybe next week.
No, I got you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I have to manage it. People get sick of a guest, and then we just kind of go from there. But the chat wants you gone.
But you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. You're fascinating. I think that you're a particularly reprehensible type of Trump supporter. But I don't think there's much more for us to talk about. I think you've demonstrated the sort of mental gymnastics you're willing to do to defend the protectors of pedophiles. In fact, we didn't even have to talk about Trump doing it. We had kind of a novel topic for my show, which is the fact that
we haven't even gotten to the e-files yet.
Yeah. Maybe that'll happen another day, because I don't think that the chat wants you to be the whole show. So you are going to go.
Oh, he wants me to go.
I actually don't. I'm just siding with the chat on this one. I'm just letting them make the determination. I think if it was up to me, this would be the Kenzie episode.
Period.
Yeah, I know that's you dig that type of approval from men, which I find to be devastating about you.
It's just a joke, dude. You gotta relax. Not everything is oh my god, look at me. Just chill. It's a fucking joke, dude. Just laugh. It's just that.
Goodbye, Kenzie. Courtney says, Oscar, I love you, but this is a disingenuous argument. You don't support Zionism, but you voted for Kamala? Did somebody pay me $5 to... What? Somebody paid me $5 to say you don't support Zionism, but you voted for Kamala? Well, both candidates were Zionists. So yeah, I recognized that voting was still important. I don't want the second half of the show to be fucking leftists, but Fupa Cabra has been waiting for a long time. So go to the link tree and do those things, because it really helps me out. Joseph sent me another $5 on Cash App to say for you, my friend. Thank you, Joseph. Also, I saw that you messaged me, Joseph, elsewhere. I will respond to that. I don't think I have yet. It's on the list. I gotta dig through my messages today. But we're gonna bring Fupacabra up, and I'll ask that everybody on TikTok get double tapping away on the screen so we can get more people in to watch this conversation. Hopefully, it won't be as heartbreaking as that conversation with Kenzie. But I think we all got a taste of Dean Withers' 20 pick-me girls on Jubilee, and man, listening to that was not good prep for talking to Kenzie. My heart is broken. Fupacabra, how old are you?
49.
49? Did I hear you correctly? Okay. Why do you support Trump?
Oh, no, I voted for Kanye West. I just came up here to say, good job, Kenzie.
Yeah, I kicked him because the chat warned me that this guy is here to get me taken down, and the fact that he supported Kanye West tells me he's a Nazi. So forgive me for wanting to protect the show today, but we got a lot of viewers. I don't want to get a flag. We're going to talk to Farah10095. Is that a friendly? I don't remember. I feel like I recognize you.
Hey, how
old are you? Doing all right. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm the communist. We talked before, but I'd love to talk about the liberal plan going forward if you're interested at all.
I don't know if that's the right. Okay, I'm gonna ask the chat. Just keep or kick, because I kind of try to. I don't remember which communist you are, straightforwardly.
Do you mind if I give my pitch first and then let the chat decide after?
I mean, keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so my pitch is. That's all right.
I'll let you give the pitch.
Quick, and if I get kicked, that's fine. My pitch is kind of this. We talked for a while before. It was a pleasant conversation. But one thing you said is you never understand what leftist plan is moving forward. And, leftists bring about the point that, liberals support this, or like you just said, Kamala is a Zionist. And I kind of wanted to pick your brain about what the liberal plan is going forward, because I think kind of voting blue no matter who, I understand lesser of two evils, but blue no matter who type stuff kind of leads to a contradiction where we're never actually going to make progress just doing that over and over.
So I did kick Farah, even though I appreciate and respect his demeanor on the show. I think I do remember which caller he is. Maybe one of the people, maybe one of the mods or somebody can go and put in the chat so I remember which number episode it is where I had two communists on. The thumbnail says the two kinds of communists. In fact, hold on. I can find that very quickly. I should just announce it because I remember what the thumbnail says. Let's go to my videos. Where is it? The two kinds of communists. Episode 52 was an episode dedicated to that question that he brought up. It's two communist callers. The first one's reasonable. It might have fucking been that guy. I don't quite remember. And then the second one's super unreasonable, and it kind of demonstrated the nature of the issue that I have with leftists. So if you're interested in that type of discussion, there's a whole episode about it. I just try not to give it all that much airtime because I do think it is more important to talk about left versus right generally, because the big problem is that a third of the country supports a rapist. And talking to leftists does not really help that. I'm willing to do it. I have bigger plans than just defeating the rapist Donald Trump in terms of my involvement in politics now that I have a platform. So I'm very interested in the liberal versus left discussion, but it gets a little bit too much airtime. I'm a very left-leaning liberal. I'm on the edge. I'm so on the edge that some leftists think I'm a liberal, some liberals think I'm a leftist. It's messy. But anyway, we're going to talk to veteran Jared. We're going to see if this is a conversation that I feel is good for the rest of the show. I'd love for that. How old are you?
34.
34. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, sir. I'm actually a friendly.
Oh, I'll give you 10 seconds before we move on.
Okay, I believe I actually donated to you last week about the insane level of censorship we've been going through lately, and I've been trying to donate to you, but I keep getting flagged for hate speech for a word I don't believe should be flagged.
What's the word? Spell it.
Monster.
Okay, sorry, my brain failed. Spell it again.
You know the Cookie Monster?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't
Just
know why my
drop
brain...
Cookie.
Yeah. You're getting flagged for monster. That's bizarre.
Yep.
I've used the word monster on this show today. Are you getting flagged trying to drop that in on Venmo?
Yes, sir.
Bizarre. Yeah, I get some pretty creative messages. Sometimes when I read the messages out, I reword them just an eensy bit to make sure that I don't get flagged for reading the message out. And every now and then I thank the person and I'll like read the first half of the message and not the second half of the message because it's like a nasty joke about Charlie Kirk or just, something I'm not going to co-sign. But Monster is a weird one. I'm not aware of that. But that's on Venmo?
Yeah, so I think I did try it on YouTube maybe a couple times, but and I really do try to word things correctly or like just tweaking them like you said. It's really weird. But I actually have a good reasoning behind why I use that term, if you'd like to hear me out.
Really, really quick. Actually 10 seconds, and then I'll let you go.
Okay, so as much as the right likes to claim that they're always about protecting children, I don't think they are ever. We have countless examples of Iran, American school pew-pew events, all these things, and they always just seem to either turn a blind eye or say thoughts and prayers. I don't think they actually care, and I think they're truly horrific people.
I let him go. Yeah, I agree. I think it's monstrous. I think Kenzie is a monster. I think it's monstrous that she doesn't care about these victims, that she doesn't care that the Catholic Church has protected pedophiles. She doesn't care that Donald Trump was found civilly liable for a thing that she herself admitted as rape, and he behaved in a way that makes us all more suspicious. Probably a change in tone. We got Iowa golfer, who is so on the edge. I kind of just consider him a friendly, even though I think he's a little misguided on some things that we talk about. How you doing, Iowa golfer? I know you. You're 27 years old.
Not too bad, Oscar. How are you?
How's the baby, dude?
Fantastic. Growing like a weed.
Yeah. They do that when they're young. It's probably a little frightening. Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Well, I just dropped a message earlier. I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm going to be in Minneapolis on Wednesday and Thursday. When are we meeting up for a beer?
Thursday night. I got a gig. Come to the gig.
Where at?
I'm not going to say it publicly because people want me to die. So I'll just message me. I'll tell you where I'm going to be on Thursday night. I'll buy you that beer. Absolutely.
All right, brother. Talk to you later, man.
Later,
Take care.
Golfer. Oh, how fascinating. I'm going to meet a regular caller. How cool. I appreciate Iowa golfer. Like, there's some things that I think are pretty. I've gotten him into some corners where he was uncomfortable, where I kind of he loses a little favor for me for maybe being a little disingenuous. But for the most part, I do think he's trying. Maybe we shouldn't have let Kenzie go because the only person in the queue is a mod, and they did get an hour yesterday. So we're probably not going to broach that again today. I kind of want Santana to chime in on that. We had a long conversation on the show yesterday about what the definition of racism is. Which I'm pretty comfortable just being outvoted on because I'm a descriptivist. Funny that came up again today with Kenzie. I guess it was on my mind, so that's the direction I chose with it. But yeah, everybody says that I should talk to Santana about it. I think I'm just going to wait for me to cross paths with him again because he has been on the show before. We'll invite Colin into the box and we'll see if he is a Trump supporter. Colin, tell us how old you are.
Doing, Oscar? I'm 52.
52. Are you a Trump supporter?
I'm not. I just hopped in real quick because you said there was nobody in queue.
I'll give you a few seconds. What's up?
My mom is very Catholic, and I used to be Catholic. I parted ways with the church long before we knew the degree of the pedophilia and everything, but I've had that argument with her, and I've had that argument with her at nauseum, and I think my mom's a good person. I really do. She's just in denial, and it's so tied to her identity that she just can't look at it for what it is.
Yeah. I think that's the problem broadly with these sorts of things. I now have a lot of experience getting somebody in the corner, and I think this is me maybe being a little bit pompous, and it's the sort of thing I can't prove, but it happens to me a lot on the show where I recognize a change in tone that to me indicates that the guest knows that I'm right. That happens often. I think it happened a couple times during the call with Kenzie today where you can kind of hear the gears grinding because the fact that they're realizing their argument's bad or they're wrong about some particular thing or they support something that's against their values, that brushes up against a value that's really important, this issue of identity, where it's like, I identify as a Catholic, I identify as a MAGA American, and that's really aggressive. I think that what more people need to do is realize that people like me, like I'm so convicted in my beliefs that I run this show. And I think for much of my life identified as like a hardcore liberal, but I think that the leftists have a good argument. I think politics has progressed in the last 10 years in a way that suggests the leftists are right about a lot of stuff. So I've shifted farther left, and that's that just doesn't hurt my feelings, you know? Like, I'm not tied up with being a liberal. I'm not tied up with being a Kamala Harris supporter. I don't care. I wasn't excited about her. I wasn't excited about Joe Biden. I was pretty excited about Obama, but I was a kid, so that doesn't fucking matter. It's just, you know, I just don't allow those sorts of issues of identity to get in the way of me realizing that I'm wrong about something. And every now and then I am just flatly wrong about something. I do this show 2 hours a day every week. And about once a week, I have a big oopsie where I just, it's fun issuing the corrections because I always put the correction in the description. I'll say, hey, I got this fact of the case wrong. It wasn't this type of trial. It was that type of trial. Or I mixed up this piece of evidence from this civil trial with Trump with some other civil trial. But then I always have to put, like, by the way, he did still do all the things I'm accusing him of doing. I just got some of the details mixed up. Oopsie daisy, but I was confidently incorrect on the show. It happens a lot. And I just, you know, when it's pointed out to me, I can just take it. Oh, people want me to increase my volume on YouTube. It's such a razor's edge getting it high enough and then not having it peak. I need to get sound figured out. I'm working on doing some updates this week because the members only stream was kind of a disaster last night. It was actually very successful. We had a really good time just doing like AMA chat and chill with me. It just technologically was very, very difficult to get 4 private streams running. Couldn't get it private on Facebook, so we set it to only allow members to comment, the whole fucking thing. I need to do like a whole, I think today I might strip the setup. I might unplug everything and start over and like find a new way to connect all this shit because I have so much music gear here that there's a bunch of different options for how to rig this show in a way that gets the audio pipe to all the places it needs to go. But that's just back end chatter. I'm working on it. I'm very sorry for the people listening on YouTube. But the people who listen to the show after the fact, you guys get treated audio. I run compression on the audio to make sure that the levels are consistent for listening after the fact. I wish YouTube let me do that to the live VODs so I could just click a button and do it and keep the episode up instead of having to completely re-render and upload the thing, which takes hours, which is why the show is unavailable for a few hours after I'm doing one live. This is just me complaining about the sort of back end stuff that I do. Data Shade says the audio on the VOD is always perfect. See, yeah, because I make sure it's perfect and then I export it. It fixes all these issues of leveling. But it's very, very hard to get it right between YouTube and TikTok because it's the same 2 sources. And what I have with my own volume is that if I'm loud enough on TikTok, it's too loud, or it's not loud enough on YouTube. But if I make it loud enough on YouTube, it's too loud on TikTok. It's kind of a mess. Am I using OBS? Yes, I am. I'm using OBS. OBS is screen capturing TikTok, and then that's why the chat is visible on the screen on YouTube. But then like later, it's the TikTok recording that has better high quality video that gets used for the video panel. The audio comes from YouTube because it doesn't have the TikTok bleeping on it. It's a whole fucking workflow. Gonna add Twitch, gonna add Kick, gonna add other stuff. And right now, do I have a caller? Oh, I do have caller. We have other genders. That's either a friendly or somebody who is definitely gonna want to talk about trans rights. How old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Are you a Trump supporter?
In some capacity, yeah.
Do you think he should stay president, or do you think that he's done things that warrant his impeachment?
I think he's probably done things that warrant his impeachment, yeah.
Okay. You said, like, kind of, though. Like, I mean, I'm a little curious. Like, what do you have to say about him?
Oh, like, why do I support him still, or?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you don't really support him if you think he's done impeachable offenses. Do you think that he's done impeachable offenses, but you support him anyway and don't want him impeached? Is that what it is?
Well, I would be happy for him to be impeached and we have, like, an alternative conservative leader. I just don't see that being a realistic possibility. So, like, I'm not a diehard Trump fan. I don't need him in office. I do support him for certain reasons. I think that he's been effective on certain policies that I believe are imperative.
I think I know who you are. Are we going to look at the Parliament, the UK Parliament source again?
We don't have to because male people are inherently violent regardless of trans identity. So we can just look at the broader sex-based discrepancies between male and female pattern perpetration of those domains of criminality.
I'm gonna block this guy. Yeah, he brings me the same bad source we've been through so many times. It's not running away, dude. I've been through it so many times on the show with you. He has a source that quotes where his source quotes another source, and the conclusion about male pattern criminality has this ellipses in it, where the ellipses ... is something that the people in the UK Parliament, notoriously not great on LGBTQ issues generally. There's an ellipses in the document where I said, this ellipses is very suspicious. I'd like to know what they left out here. And then I went and found the original source, and the ellipses leaves out where they say that I'm right. That's his source. He makes a new account about once or twice a month and comes back and tries to bring it to me again. He's banned from the show. He's just not allowed to be up for being disingenuous. So if he calls that running, that's fine. But I kind of recognize his pattern of speech, so I'm just not going to engage with it today. Robert Sproul is here, Sproul. Maybe this is going to be a serious conversation for the last half hour of the show. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Do you support Trump?
No, but I am a Republican and conservative.
Fair. Okay. How you feel about what's going on?
I think that, I mean, in terms of the prompt, I think that your definition of progress and my definition of progress are maybe different.
Probably.
And I appreciate, honestly, what Trump has done for some of the more conservative or patriotic values and making them mainstream again. I felt as though there was sort of a popular opinion that America is this oppressive state that spreads terrorism across the world and has never contributed positively or doesn't contribute positively, rather, to the globe and humanity in general. And again, I just think that Trump kind of brought back pride in the country, which is something that I do support, and I would consider that progress in some regards. So.
I think that Trump has reduced what I would consider to be pride in the country by making people loyal to him instead of the Constitution. I think that for you to have pride in the country of the sort that you're talking about, you need to be loyal to the Constitution, not the president, whoever they happen to be at any particular moment.
I would not argue that at all, and not
so
to.
I think that. Okay, so let's address. If you agree with that, let's address the fact that I think that Donald Trump works very hard to subvert the Constitution, get around it through loopholes, offer his own interpretation on it with executive orders, a whole bunch of stuff. He supports the action of ICE agents violating the Constitution. There's some very specific and conspicuous examples of that. I think it's fair to say that Donald Trump himself does not support the Constitution. Do you agree?
He definitely sees it as a obstacle to achieving his goals.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay. He sees it as an obstacle. I like your wording there. I agree that the Constitution is an obstacle for Donald Trump's goals. A moment ago, you agreed with me that the truly patriotic thing to do would be to respect the Constitution above all else, including who currently holds the office. But you support a president who sees the Constitution as an obstacle for a bunch of his policy positions. I think this is an inconsistent set of beliefs. Explain yourself.
Well, I don't support the president. So that would be that. Secondly, I would...
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You did say that you don't support him. Is it because of his constitutional violations that you don't support him?
Well, it's his election denialism that is the reason I don't support him. And
fair.
Yeah, in part, like you said, he clearly doesn't care about American political norms, which I don't think that's like first of all, a unique attribute of American presidents or a uniquely evil aspect of somebody. He just would rather do it his way. And I don't think it's as clear, though, that he's violating the Constitution to the degree that he should.
I fell for it a little bit. Hold on, because I realized, you're not a Trump supporter, but you did said that what you said that you supported him on was supporting patriotic values. So that's why I was asking. I'm actually going to ask my question again, because you do support his contribution to patriotic values in the country, but you recognize that he's a president that sees the Constitution as an obstacle, and you don't support him for that reason. I would also argue that his election denialism about 2020 is an extension of his unconstitutional behavior, because he did a bunch of things that are unconstitutional to try to overthrow that election, and that's it just kind of fits under the umbrella of him not obeying the Constitution. I would also like to point out that you still identify as a Republican, even though you don't necessarily support Trump, but almost every sitting elected Republican in this country is very loyal to the guy. They vote with him instead of the Constitution. They side with him instead of the Constitution. There's a rampant problem of unpatriotic behavior of the sort that I'm talking about Donald Trump exhibiting. You recognize he exhibits that behavior and you don't support him for it. Do you not support most Republican candidates? Because I can say the exact same thing of most Republican candidates because they support him.
Well, for instance, I supported Thomas Massey against Ed Gallerin, and that's the congressional race that I vote in. So
you picked one example. You picked one example of a Republican who doesn't, who what I just said doesn't apply to. I said most of them. Would you admit that it's fair to say that in the federal government, something like 90% or more of the elected Republicans in our federal government are people who support? I'm talking about those people. Do you not support any of those people, or do you support some or all of those people?
I don't support their efforts to affirm President Trump's delusion about the results of the election, or forfeiting their power as congresspeople to control the executive. But I mean, there are some parts of the Trump agenda that I do agree with, just being a Republican. So it's like a mixed bag.
I don't think
it's
you answered my question.
absolute.
You demonstrated, let's review. You said that Donald Trump doesn't support the Constitution. We agree on that. Is that fair to say?
I'm not saying he doesn't support it. I'm just saying he sees it as an obstacle.
Okay, he sees it as an obstacle, and you don't support him because he sees the Constitution as an obstacle.
In part, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
well, you also mentioned the 2020 election, which I said, for me, it fits under the umbrella of him not supporting the Constitution.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, yeah, so that's all bad. Do you think that we could extend that concern about him and his patriotic values to anybody else who supports him, who's fully educated of what he has done, which I do think is fair to assume of sitting Republicans in the federal government? I think that our representatives and senators and governors, higher level officials, I think that they are aware of these things and they support him anyway. So do you support those Republicans? Because that is most of them.
Yeah, that is a fair point. I would say that a lot of them are actually convinced of, or by rather, some of the president's arguments about the changes to voting during COVID and stuff like that. And they're, again, if you talk to MAGA about this, their claim is not necessarily that like fake electors were voting or non-existent people, not necessarily. A lot of people are taking issue with like the mail-in balloting and the ballot harvesting and stuff like that, which is kind of undeniable.
Specifically, you have concerns with
I said no is the answer to your question.
You don't support those Republicans.
I don't support their efforts to affirm any of Trump's, like I said, denials of the election or subversion of the Constitution.
But what I'm trying to understand is how you can call yourself a Republican when you don't support most Republicans. I don't call myself a Democrat because I don't support most of the Democrats. Very few Democrats that actually have my hearty support. And I was just talking with one of my buddies yesterday about how I should start being clear when I give a hard endorsement for somebody like James Tallarico, because I'm excited about him, versus like a soft endorsement, like I'm going to vote for Amy Klobuchar in the governor's race here in Minnesota. I'm not fucking excited about her. She's an establishment Democrat. There's a bunch of stuff I don't like about her. I don't identify as a Democrat in that way. I identify as a Democratic socialist, which is more of a social Democrat if you ask the Phil Bros. But this goes down a deep rabbit hole about exact labels. But I'm aware of those things, and I can answer to them. You're a Republican who doesn't support most Republican candidates in the way that we've just laid out. Is that fair to say?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I think that's cognitive dissonance.
I don't know. I think if you compared me and your average Republican, or even President Trump or any of the congressional Republicans, we would have a lot of very similar opinions. I guarantee it.
But the thing that you brought
especially on issues about immigration, culture, education,
culture is interesting.
The purpose of society.
Hold on.
The role of the country in the world.
Yeah, I talk about all that shit so much. We don't talk about culture very much. Why do you support them in the context of culture? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, again, I mean, it goes more to what I was going off on the top of that, like pride in America, understanding the importance of like private property, freedom of speech.
Those are rights, not culture.
Rule of law.
Culture.
Yeah, well, that's included. The way that a society functions is part of the culture. In some cultures, for instance, it's not normal to have like a judge and jury. You have like, I don't know, a single like person deciding your fate, essentially. You know what I mean? Like the common law that we use.
I think that I'm going to make an accusation, which is a little bit speculative, because you're not dead to rights on this. You haven't said something that demonstrates it specifically, but this is just my honest belief, and I want you to try to convince me otherwise. I think that when you listed culture a second ago, you were not referring to those things, but the sorts of things that you were referring to, I think were probably some like racist, like white nationalist neighborhood type of things. I want to talk about those, but you brought up all this other stuff that I don't actually think meets the label of culture very well. You talked about like the legal system, judges and stuff. I don't think that that's what most people, when they talk about his influence on culture, I don't think that that is going to make most people think policy. And I think that you didn't think that I would zoom in on that culture thing. So my accusation is that I think you're lying about what you meant by culture. I think that you were probably referring to something like speaking English at the dinner table, listening to American music, eating American food, flying an American flag in your yard. I think that's the sort of stuff you were talking about.
I mean, that is also included in culture. Yeah. Just having a common language, a common experience with your fellow citizen, that's shared values.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shared values of what sort?
again, of supporting private property, of entrepreneurship, freedom of speech.
That'll bring us back there. Okay, so you said the common language.
Also, Oscar,
do you
please.
think it's a problem for immigrants or people who just happen to speak a different language to speak that language, say at home or maybe at the restaurants they work at or things like that? If their customers maybe speak the language, like, does it bother you when you see people speaking different languages?
I mean, it doesn't bother me like, oh, I hate this person for speaking their native tongue. I'm like, if we want to live in a functioning society and, like, again, be able to interact and communicate with our fellow citizen, we need to speak the same language. So I just think it's easier for them to assimilate to American culture if they know the language.
I agree that anybody who doesn't speak English has a disadvantage in functioning in their life in America. I agree with that wholeheartedly. If I could snap my fingers and make everybody speak fluent English, I think that'd be a good thing to do for Earth because it's the lingua franca. I recognize the value of having a common tongue, which is not the fucking way I would describe it. I would use the actual term that sociologists use to study this, which is the lingua franca. It's the white nationalists who talk about the common tongue. So watch your vocabulary if you don't want to be outed again. But we'll see where we're going with this. Why do you think it matters what language people speak, even if they do speak English? Because plenty of the people who you hear speak English or speak other languages other than English do speak English. They are just choosing not to in a particular moment.
Well, if that's the case, then I have no problem with it.
Okay, that's good. What else about culture?
Well, I think there's often an attempt on the left to associate American culture and American values with, like, whiteness, and almost though it's exclusively like a white culture in America, and that's also something I find quite ridiculous. Like, I think it's a cop out to blame a sort of boogeyman as opposed to having to justify why you think, like, cultural diversity is beneficial to creating harmonious societies and stuff like that.
You don't think that cultural diversity is beneficial?
I think that there are some aspects of cultural diversity that can work, and then there are some aspects of cultural diversity that cannot.
I would like to focus on the things that you think about cultural diversity don't work. List some examples, please.
Right. So if you had a culture that believed women were meant to be in the home and had limited rights, you see this in a lot of North African, Middle Eastern countries.
Oh, I was going to say that white culture in America is a good example of that.
Well, I think women are actually more educated than men in this country and are employed in greater numbers. It doesn't have to do with anything
that you just said. What you just said is that they promote.
It has a little bit to do with it. If you look and consider the role of women in a society, that's the main point. And in a Western developed country, women's roles in society are often more diverse than in underdeveloped countries where, again, they're seen as more of homemakers. So my point being this, right? If you immigrate
I'm not going to listen to your point because I'm going to point out again that I just believe with my heart that you're being completely disingenuous. Everything that you just said goes completely against establishment Republican ideologies. It goes against the teachings of Charlie Kirk that we spent an hour talking to Kenzie about before all this. It goes against what the policy positions of establishment Republicans of every kind are going for. No, doesn't make sense. I think that's fucking horseshit. I think you know it. Explain yourself.
Well, I don't listen to Charlie Kirk, so I don't really know what his position on that is. I just know my greater point is that if you have people from our cultures that are different than those of the United States, and in the example I gave, like women's roles in society, for instance, or even a child's role in society, if those people try and live with people who have a differing opinion on, again, like the purpose of women in society, what their roles are, that is going to create a lot of conflict within
That's a domestic
the society that you're forcing people to
hold those sorts of beliefs. Why are we talking about Africa? The largest slice of people in this country.
But Oscar,
I'll phrase it this way: the largest slice of people in this country who have those reprehensible beliefs that I think we need to be worried about isn't any particular ethnic group of anybody from anywhere. It's born Americans who identify as Republicans. That's the big group I'm worried about when it comes to those sorts of concerns about culture.
Exactly. And I think that point is extremely valid and indicates perhaps some of the reasons why we have all of the social tension that exists in the country, because we are having a difficult time coming to a common understanding of, for instance, what a woman's role in society is, what a woman even is in general, so on and so forth. And to me, to create the best living conditions for individuals is to have largely similar
No, I'm
life
not going to let you weasel out of it by rambling about all these things. Very specifically, my concern is that you brought up that one of your concerns about culture is regressive ideologies about the role of women in society. Is that fair to say? That's specifically
that was
what
just
we're
an
talking
example
about?
I gave. Yeah, of a cultural difference.
Yeah. So we're talking about you don't like cultures that have regressive ideologies about the roles of women in society. And you mentioned certain African countries, and you're correct. There are some countries in Africa, there's some countries in the Middle East where they have some very regressive compared to America beliefs about women. But if we're going to talk domestically, if we're going to talk about people who have an influence in the cultural zeitgeist of today about how women are treated in society, the biggest and most concerning group, if that is your concern about culture, is Republicans. You understand that, right?
If you're considering like a Fuentes,
yes
like an
no?
Tate Republican,
no, I'm talking about roughly 1/3 of the country.
No, I think that guys like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes are far more negatively influential.
I'm not talking about them.
That's what I'm saying. My answer to your question is no. You hearing? Then the answer is no.
You don't recognize that the Republicans are the biggest group in this country who hold those sorts of regressive beliefs about the...
No, I do not recognize or agree with that point.
That's fucking nonsense. I've talked to you for long enough to know your brain works better than that. Yes, you do. Explain yourself.
I just said Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate are far more negatively influential in terms of the treatment
of a third of Americans. That's roughly 100. I'm talking about 100 million people believing these regressive ideologies about women. People who support Charlie Kirk, people who support Donald Trump, people who support establishment Republicans, in spite of the things I've said about them during this call, and in spite of a bunch of other policy positions they hold that are regressive for the rights of women. Because women, by a pretty solid majority, because it is a disproportionately male group that I'm talking about holding these beliefs, even though there are some pick-me girls like Kenzie who've been brainwashed into thinking things that are actually bad for their own rights, bad for their own place in culture, bad for their own respect from the cultural zeitgeist. There is a lot of that going on, but women pretty seriously agree on the fact that it's fucked up that the people who hold those sorts of regressive beliefs have regressed a Supreme Court decision that gave them right to bodily autonomy over a fetus that doesn't have any sentient understanding of anything that's going on, any experiences, any pain, any suffering, any hopes, any dreams, anything of the sort that we consider to be important to the human condition. We take rights away from women and we give it to a ball of cells that can't think. And I think that that's regressive. And a third of Americans support that. And that's fucked up. That's one example. We could talk about the fact that it's the Republicans who try to resist, or I should say the conservatives generally, because the parties have flipped a couple times in history, but it's the people who hold what they call conservative traditional American values that try to preserve things like the lack of rights a woman had to get her husband criminally convicted of rape if he rapes her, because until the 80s in most places in this country, a woman couldn't convict her husband of rape or couldn't accuse him of rape because rape was defined in such a way that excluded women. We didn't even give women the right to vote, and people resisted. And I'm talking about people who resist these progressive policies that will help the women in our culture who are subject to those regressive ideologies that you yourself said were a problem. You pointed to African countries, and and I brought up that there are plenty of countries worldwide that do that sort of thing. But domestically, the biggest group you should be concerned about, if that is your concern for women, is conservatives.
I mean, if you're nervous or concerned about Charlie Kirk's position on a role of womanhood, or a role of a woman in American society, if that's like a big issue to you, then I think that we just have a really fundamental disagreement on like what reality is. I'm not going to lie, because to me, it's not regressive to say that women should prioritize having a family. Like, you're saying they should prioritize themselves. Why is that better? Why is prioritizing
were the words out of your mouth just now that you don't think it's regressive to suggest that women should be prioritizing raising families?
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's regressive or progressive. I just think that's just a value. It's like, what? Reproduction of the human species is progressive or regressive?
Why is
that biology?
Why is that not something you would say of men? Why are we just talking about women?
Oh, I'd be happy to talk about how terrible men operate in this society.
Nope, you're moving past the question. You said that you think that women should be prioritizing raising families. Would you also say that men should be prioritizing raising families?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, they should. Yes, 100%.
Okay, that's your escape. You're going to grab onto that and pretend that that's what you meant. So I'll then ask this question. Why did you just a second ago say that women should be prioritizing raising families instead of saying that people should be prioritizing raising families? Why did you zoom in on women?
Well, I thought we were talking about women's rights, so that's my mistake.
I think you mistakenly revealed your thinking about this by saying that you think that women should prioritize raising families. Because I think that if you genuinely believed that that was equally true of men or women, you simply wouldn't have said that that is something that women need to do. You would just say that that's something that everybody needs to do. I actually agree that people need to prioritize raising families more. I think our legislators need to prioritize raising families more by giving paternal and maternal leave to both parents so that people can focus on raising their families well. I think we need to bolster the education system to alleviate the childcare needs of parents and to make sure that their children are better educated at school, thus further alleviating the responsibilities they have at home. I think we have enough societal wealth to do those things. I value people prioritizing raising their families. Why did you say that you value women raising their families, prioritizing raising their families?
Again, I thought it was because we were talking about women's rights in general. But to me, it kind of sounds like you support the government providing assistance for people raising their families as opposed to people just raising their families themselves. And
in the Constitution, we talked about the Constitution earlier. Are you familiar with the paragraph that precedes all the articles, the little introduction?
The preamble?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't think we the people, right? That one?
Yeah.
In order to form a more perfect union.
In the preamble of the Constitution, we establish exactly what the purpose of the government is. There's a sentence in it that reads something to the effect of, I'm probably not going to get it verbatim because I'm going from memory, reads something like that the government should exist to promote the public what?
Promote the public welfare.
Right. What does welfare mean?
I would say the well-being of the people.
Yes.
That's public welfare.
Yes. So when you ask me if I support policies that promote the public welfare, the answer is yes. And that is consistent with the fact that I value the Constitution over the ideals of any particular political party or leader. And I think that you don't.
Is public welfare necessarily just giving people money, or is it maybe creating a social structure that allows people to thrive and provide for themselves? Is that maybe not better for the public welfare? Why is dependence on government assistance public welfare?
I think that you asked a series of inconsistent questions there. You used the word necessarily and then provided a type of example of like financial support as welfare. And I'm not going to pigeonhole what welfare is. I think that we agree that there are things like people's health, like their incidence of having a disease, the likelihood of people being in poverty, the likelihood of people struggling to pay for their own food. Like those are things that affect the public welfare, the quality of education that people receive. There's like a big list of stuff that we could look at. It's
national debt.
No, I don't think that the national debt's important.
Really?
It's not a direct thing. Like the number can change and it doesn't.
Well, what about when Social Security payments have to decrease because we don't have enough money to pay them out?
No,
then the national debt becomes a major issue.
I'm not saying the national debt is important. It just isn't a measure of anybody's quality of life is all I was saying. And you're getting away from the fact that we do have measures of quality of life. The one that I like to respect is the Human Development Index because it balls a bunch of these things into one index that tells us if a society is doing a good job keeping its people safe. I think that the HDI is a good operationally defined quantitative measure of how effectively a society is promoting the guess what? Public welfare. And yes, it does sometimes cost money for the government to do that. In fact, almost always costs money for the government to do that. Newsflash, Republicans, all these problems you're upset about, if you want the government to fix them, solutions often cost money. That's the way the world works. I thought you guys liked capitalism. Anyway, my point is, you're making a really good case for the fact that you don't believe the Constitution by supporting the politicians that you do and being concerned about my interest in promoting the public welfare, which the preamble of the Constitution says is the entire purpose of the government.
I think, well, it's one of the purposes of the government. I just don't think that... No.
It's the entire purpose of the government.
Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That is the functions of government.
Yeah, so, and I think that basically amounts to saying promoting the public welfare.
Okay, well, it also says provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, which I assume would be the rights given to us in the Constitution. So, yes, I agree. Promoting public welfare is one of the functions of government. But as we just read in the preamble, it clearly government has has other functions rather. And I don't support any of the politicians that you're claiming I do or you think I do. Like, I'm just a Republican. And
okay. What the fuck do you mean when you say you're a Republican then? Do you just mean you're a conservative? Because Republicans in 2026 are of the sort of monstrous characters that we've been describing in this entire episode.
If that's an easier way for you to conceptualize what I am, then yes. Because I'm not MAGA. But I am a registered Republican. I volunteer my time with the Republican Party. I try and register people to vote Republican still. I mean, it's kind of, I just feel like my best option.
Well, and I would also like to point out to you that because the Republican label moves around quite a lot, when we got to the historical examples of historically how it's the conservatives specifically, not necessarily the Republicans that have these regressive values, we can let you walk back one step from saying that you're an establishment Republican in the same way that I don't identify as an establishment Democrat, and we can get to what your actual personal values are. And you still identify with the group of people who are regressive for women.
Okay, we don't need to necessarily get into that because I don't think we'll come to... Well, okay, it's not progressive for me to value, again, someone's individual desires over life, for instance. That's not progressing toward anything. That's devolving into, like, I don't even know, nihilism or not even. It's like some sort of like self-obsessed state, really.
I don't understand your line of reasoning. I'm sorry. Try again.
Well, if you're so focused on your life outcome and what is happening to you as an individual,
I'm not.
I don't think that is a good value system to push. No. I think people should be more concerned about the social welfare, as you had.
Yeah, right. I actually offered a very specific, operationally defined quantitative measure of societal welfare.
And I was getting ready to reply to that, actually, if I can.
Okay, just show me. Wait, hold on. I just want to address to what you just said. We're talking about HDI, Human Development Index, which is a quantified measure of societal well-being that depends on a whole bunch of stuff that we can get into in a moment. But you do recognize that I do not base my positions on issues of public welfare and what the government is for based on my own circumstances. I specifically mentioned the HDI because it measures the quality of life of everybody in a society, and I'm concerned with those big averages. I'm not concerned with myself. I'll die for this shit, dude. I don't care about me.
Valid. Okay, understood. I don't know how good of a measure the HDI is in terms of how people feel in their society, because if you can measure that certain things are, like if you have access to food or education and clothing and stuff like that, like obviously that is an indicator of a healthy society. But if people don't feel like their society is healthy, it doesn't matter what the indicators say. The society is not healthy. People's perception of what is happening is more significant.
You're saying that the facts about public welfare don't matter? Your feelings do? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, right. Because the authority for which your HDI statistic, or the authority that statistic has on actual like measures of quality of life, it's not absolute. That's just your opinion. So yeah, is my answer to your question. That's not like a hard stat that is undeniable. Somebody put in different factors and personally adjusted the formula to have what they felt personally was the best indicator of a developed society.
We're going to look at a list of countries by HDI.
It's not like a defined...
We're going to look at a list of countries by HDI.
Absolutely.
We're going to look at a list of countries by HDI, and I just want to show you some of the conclusions we can draw if we respect HDI as an indicator. Iceland is at the top of the list. Iceland has a very small population, and their commerce system is like super unusual. They're kind of an outlier. It's not very hard to win the game if you don't have very many people in your country. Norway's a way better example. They have a population of 5 million, which puts them in a similar level as like the state that I live in. I live in a state that has about 5 million people. It's a much more comparable thing. We actually see that region of the world performs really well. Switzerland is another outlier because of the number of wealthy people who store their wealth there. Denmark is a good example with Norway. So is Germany, Sweden, Australia, Hong Kong, Netherlands, Belgium, Ireland. These are generally places that it's safe to walk down the street. These are generally places where you can go to a store and buy food. These are generally places where if there's a serious crime, the local authorities work hard to investigate it. We actually see that on a global scale, we don't rank that poorly. We're at the bottom of a list of first world developed nations. And then if we get below us, we start seeing places that are still comparable. We're in the 0.93, 0.92 range on this. We've got places like France, Luxembourg, Japan, Austria. But as we keep going, we start running into the places where there still is political turmoil, where there still are some of these regressive beliefs that you yourself say are reprehensible. We see that places where those sorts of things are still encoded by law are not doing so well. We've got places like Greece, Poland, Estonia, Saudi Arabia, high quality of life, but they're so nasty to women that it puts them on a low level on the list. Lithuania, stuff like that. Latvia, that one's personal to me because I got some family history there. Not so great compared to a lot of these other European countries. And as we start going farther down, we start finding countries in the middle of the pack, like Russia, countries that have the wealth to maybe have better public welfare, but they misspend it. They spend it on wars in Ukraine and things like that instead of promoting that public welfare like it says in the preamble of the Constitution that we're supposed to do here. As we keep going down, we start finding some of the Middle East and African countries that we talked about earlier as places that have codified, established respect for these regressive beliefs about women and all these other things that the HDI measures. And if we look at the very bottom of the list, we will find failed states where they don't have a fucking government anymore and the place is run by literal gangs or warlords in Africa. At the very bottom, South Sudan, Somalia, the Central African Republic, Chad, Niger, Mali. My point is that if you had to be dropped into a country and you wanted to make sure that you were going to be safe, if you could choose nothing other than roughly where on this list you would fall, where would you want to fall on the list?
I mean, that's such a tough question. I enjoy my life in the United States, so I mean, I don't know if I'd risk changing it. I'm not saying that I couldn't have a better life in those places, but I mean, I don't know how like good of an example.
Are you suggesting that you don't care whether here's your choice. Roll of the dice. You get to hit the green button or the red button. If you hit the green button, you're going to get a dice roll. There's about 200 countries on the planet. If you hit the green button, you're going to, as a roll of the dice, land in a country that's on the top half of this list. If you hit the red button, you're going to, at a roll of the dice, land in some random country on the bottom half of this list. Which button do you push? Oh,
obviously the green.
Okay, so you recognize that HDI is to some degree meaningful about quality of life in places. Is that correct?
Of course. But my simple point was that it's not an absolute truth. Like, you can't just say because of that stat, then you can claim that life is better in this country. Like,
nothing's perfect. This is the measure I use. Offer a better one.
Well, that's my point. And I was going to say, like, happiness ratings, trust in people, trust in institutions. I think those are far better indicators of the health of a society than necessarily those.
So for example, if a place like, let's pick a one of these countries at the bottom of the list. If a place like Chad or Niger or South Sudan or Somalia just happened to rank really well on like individual issues of trust and stuff like that you just said, would that make you want to live in one of those countries more than the countries at the top of the list?
Not that fact alone, but I mean, it would impact it. Yeah.
It would impact it. But again, I asked you to offer a measure that is more important. So if you knew that those things were true of a country like Zimbabwe or whatever, which isn't even on the bottom of the list, that's kind of, or no, I scrolled past it. Anyway, yeah, if you knew your thing and knew my thing, you're saying that you wouldn't want to be in a country that's in the top quarter on HDI as opposed to the bottom quarter on HDI if issues of, what was it, trust in society? I don't know how you define that or how you measure it, but even if we knew that people were really trusting in Somalia, would you want to live there?
If I could trust the government and the people I lived with, yeah, I'd prefer to live there over a place that has this kind of obscure measurement of human development. Yeah,
I think that I'm saying that your measurement is obscure. HDI is quantified. There are people who dedicate their lives to collecting
right,
and
but
analyzing data.
You think that maybe obscure is not the right word. It just assigns weight or value on certain indicators that maybe I don't think indicate a developing society. How about that?
Right, I'm trying to, and I recognize it's not perfect. It favors
more progressive and liberal values that may not be as popular in more traditional countries that you'd be perceived, or you'd be, Poland or Russia, for instance.
But my question fundamentally about whether or not you respect HDI is that you seem to recognize that it is shitty to live in a country at the bottom of the list and not so shitty to live in a country at the top of the list. Do you recognize that as true?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what is your issue with me using HDI as a measure of how good the public welfare is? Because I think it's fair to say that the public welfare, as referred to in the preamble of the Constitution, that is the entire purpose of the government to promote the public welfare, given that we see countries that have way better public welfare at a glance at the top of the list and countries that have no semblance of public welfare at the bottom of the list, and a really gradual decrease in that public welfare as we go down the list that we just did together. How is it that you don't value this metric when you said it's obscure, and I don't know exactly what word you use, you kind of cast a bunch of doubt on it. What the fuck is your measure, dude? Are you out here with a ruler measuring how much people trust each other? What in the hot ever flying fuck are you talking about?
Well, pollsters always ask, do you trust your neighbor? Do you think your neighbor would like help you in a tough spot, something like that? So, I mean, it's just simple polling that I would be referencing. And I'm not saying that the HDI is not
Do you have that polling data?
Yeah, my computer's restarting, actually, if you just want to give me I know you say you're about to end your live too, so.
I can run a little bit long for you, but my question is going to be very directly. Are you suggesting that if we took polls of people in all these 200 countries and said, do you generally trust your neighbors, that sort of thing? I would wager, I would hypothesize, I might bet $50 on it. I think that on average, the countries that are at the top of the list would have greater trust in each other and in their local communities and in their neighbors than the countries at the bottom. I don't think that people Okay, so you're saying that your metric that you value reflects a similar ordering of countries than mine does. Fucking pretzel, my guy. What are you talking about?
Well, not necessarily. Well, because there are...
I didn't say necessarily. I said generally. I said on average. I said roughly.
Right,
Stop trying to hold me to absolute beliefs that aren't going to be accurate. I'm not an absolutist about almost anything. I'm an absolutist about mathematics. 2 + 2 = 4. That's absolutely true. I'll die on that note.
Okay. All right. We're on the same page.
Is a measure of intersocietal trust between neighbors going to exactly order these countries in the same exact order as HDI? No, that's not what I fucking said, and you know it. Stop being disingenuous. You know, you are intelligent enough to understand that what I meant is that we'd get an approximately similar list. The countries with high HDI would have greater trust between neighbors. The ones that have lower HDI would have lower trust between neighbors if we
So why are you arguing with me?
Because you don't have good evidence for that, and you're only measuring one thing, which is trust between neighbors, which I don't think is a good measure of societal well-being. I think that a measure of societal well-being that includes things like child mortality rates, maternal mortality rates, the rates of like violent crimes like murders and rapes and things like that, the availability of food, the availability of education, the equity in the work market. All these things matter a lot, and they're all balled into HDI. And as a coincidence, HDI is so useful for this sort of thing that we can look at something like trust between neighbors. And again, I'm only hypothesizing because you don't even have a source to give me yet. You don't even have some specific thing, even though this is apparently the main thing you care about in terms of establishing public welfare, which is the entire purpose of the government according to the preamble of the Constitution. I understand HDI pretty well because it's the measure that I use to reflect on these things. You're saying that this subset of something that you've got big personal feelings about, that you value much more than the facts represented by the HDI, and you can't even defend it very well. But even if you could, you are suggesting to me that you understand that my measure is something that would actually represent the same trend that yours would, but would include other things that maybe you don't care enough about, like the safety of children and women and equity in society.
I'm pretty sure I conceded the fact that that's true, that it values certain indicators of progress that I do not think indicate progress in a society.
But you recognize that even in spite of the fact that it considers things that you don't value, it would still be likely to represent the same trend for countries if we're only looking at data that you do value.
Yes, and so do you. Neighbors. So again, I ask, I feel like you're being unnecessarily combative, because I can make the same claim about you being in a pretzel too if we're both acknowledging that our indicators of society's success and health somewhat have a similar list, just you're using this HDI and I'm using happiness or trust indicators rather in terms of how
I'm using a thing that I can reference. I just showed you a list of how all the countries rank, and we looked at the quality of life.
Okay.
You know, I believe you're a worldly enough person to know that it probably does in fact suck in Somalia. I've got a lot of Somali neighbors who live here instead of there. It fucking does suck in Somalia. The HDI is not wrong about that, right? Like, I have this quantifiable stack ranked list. One of the reasons I defend Minnesota so much is because if we look at the list of 50 states and where they rank on HDI, Minnesota's third, man. And the other two states are small ones that have really wealthy populations, which again are kind of outliers, because it's easy to have an equitable society if everybody in the society is fortunate. So when you look, I think it's like Rhode Island and Connecticut or something, or 1 and 2, Massachusetts, something like that. Those are kind of outliers for the same reason that I said places like Switzerland and Iceland are. So Minnesota's the first big sprawling state, the big purple state, always blue in Minnesota, but we are 5149. It's blue dots in a big red state of rural counties where people farm and stuff like that. Like, Minnesota is the poster child of quality of life in America for that reason. And that's why I love living here so much. And that's why I can point to all this data, because it's foundational to what I think about quality of life and the public welfare. And you're just sitting here making up polling about trust. Have you done an analysis of trust polling in different states? I'm calling bullshit, dude. I think you're making shit up because you don't actually like have a data-driven, quantifiable foundation for any of your beliefs. I think you're trying to shoehorn data into fitting what you believe, when exactly what you believe is reflected in the data that I've brought you, because you admit the same patterns are present in it. Pretzel.
I have from Pew Research right here. Social trust is higher in wealthier countries, lower in middle income countries. And so, again, that would kind of tend to the trend that we were agreeing on in terms of the HDI versus
I don't even need to
trust.
check your source.
Your
source backs up what I just said.
Well, dude, so it supports what we're both saying. Let's be clear about that. But also to further prove my point in that countries with a low HDI can still be high trust in countries that have high happiness ratings regardless. And that would be a country like Turkey or Brazil. They have very low trust societies. They have very high trust societies, and they live in what the HDI would probably rate as more authoritarian state and less individual freedoms. Of course, concede.
There's eye rolls in the chat. So you're pointing out, like, I pointed out some outliers and said, look at these outliers at the top and bottom of the list. Like, there's some interest. Actually, there aren't really outliers at the bottom of the list. It sucks. Every country at the bottom kind of demonstrates why it sucks to live in those countries. At the top of the list, there's some outliers. I pointed that out. Why are you presenting data that my data is inclusive of, and then pointing to the outliers in it as though they prove you right? That's fucking nonsensical pretzel thinking.
It is not nonsensical to suggest that people who live in high trust societies but low HDI societies typically have higher levels of happiness and social fulfillment than those who live in richer, low trust societies like the United States or France, for instance. So that's all I'm trying to say, buddy.
Horseshit. I think that the general trend you just said out of your mouth, you just said that your source says the trend is the opposite of what you just said. You pointed to a couple of outlier examples. Why are you using outliers to demonstrate your point?
I'm just telling you what the data is. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
You presented the data. The data says I'm right, and then you said look at these outliers, and I'm asking why are you looking at the outliers?
But just to prove the point, rather, that even if there are societies that are like low on this HDI scale, that doesn't mean they can't
Once
be high
again,
trust
accusing
societies.
me of making an absolute claim about anything that I did not do. I did not say that HDI is perfect. I did not say that there aren't outliers.
Well, that's why I'm pointing out the outliers.
Once again, I started by pointing out that the country that ranks number 1 on the list is an outlier. The country that ranks number 3 or 4, Switzerland, is an outlier. I recognize that the outliers aren't very good to look at, which is why I compared Norway to Minnesota, because it has roughly the same population. It's close enough in landmass. There's a lot of variance there because some countries are enormous and some are smaller than like states. But yeah, I pointed out that the outliers aren't actually all that good to look at. I'm not going to look at Iceland and Switzerland when I'm telling somebody that HDI is a good measure, because Iceland and Switzerland are bizarre places that don't function like most of the places on the planet. Why are you pointing to outliers in your data instead of looking at the general trend?
Dude, because we agree on the general trend.
Yes, we agree that I'm right about the general trend.
Friend, you said that your indicator of development of society and my indicator of development society produced roughly the same list. So if you're right, then I'm right, friend. That's it.
No, I'm asking a very specific question. Why are you telling me about the outliers as though they defend your perspective on this when most of the countries that are included in both of our data sets represent a conclusion that is different than yours, which is that those sorts of values are not as important as you think they are?
Because again, we agree on the basic premise, and so if we want to continue this debate, I feel like we have to.
No, we
find
don't.
A point
the
that
basic
we
premise is that these more narrow measures of societal well-being that you value are important, and I'm saying that they're not. That this greater, more holistic approach to data, holistic just meaning taking in all the information, is better, gives us a better list, gives us a more dependable list, gives us a more consistent worldview. And you're pointing to data that presents a similar list, but pointing to the outliers and saying we should look at them. Why?
Okay, you've asked me this like 5 times and my answer doesn't change. Like it's just so we can discuss something. I understand that you think your indicator of societal development is more significant than mine, and we'll just have to agree to disagree on that. But it sounds like both of
Why are you looking at the outliers instead of the general trend? Forget everything else I just said, because that you agree you are looking at the outliers in the evidence you brought me instead of the general trend. Right?
Oscar,
why
did I not say so we could continue our debate? Have I not said that every time you ask me?
I just don't understand why you're talking to me about outliers like Turkey.
Just to show you that they exist is all, Oscar, to maybe support my claim a little bit. That's perhaps why I would be citing an outlier.
If the outliers are the only thing that supports your claim is wrong.
Well, it's not that it's wrong. It's just not common in that sense. But again,
yes,
we already agree that
will happen is not common.
Indicator of success.
It's wrong what you're suggesting.
Societal success and yours produce this roughly the same list, right? But I think that when you're able to include societies that are outliers, like in mine, because you're considering factors other than what Western countries traditionally use as indicators of social success, I think that is why it's valuable to use my indicators, because it can kind of account for those cultural differences and accommodate societies and peoples who don't subscribe to the Western framework of a progressed society, but still live happy, fulfilling lives. Is that a better answer for you?
No.
All right. Well, then I don't think that this is going anywhere further.
I agree. Goodbye. That was the Oskar Quentin Show on this particular Monday. I hope everybody enjoyed. If you enjoyed the show, you can do a few things that'll really help me out, which is that you can go to the link tree in my bio, or if you're watching on TikTok, just click on right down there, Oskar Quentin 2. That's the backup account for when the show gets banned for, me accidentally saying a phrase I'm not supposed to say on TikTok or something like that. When that happens, you can follow that account. You can also go to the link tree in my bio and follow Oskar Quentin Music on TikTok. That's one of my other backup accounts, but we're going to really focus on getting Oskar Quentin 2 to 10K. That's the goal. It doesn't cost a dime to follow me on the other platforms, and it helps a lot. YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook are other places you can help out by doing that. If you do have a dime that you want to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, because I get to do this for a living, and that's very exciting for me. I get to wake up every single day and worry about doing this show. And on Sundays, I'm going to worry about doing my evening show at 7 p.m. Central Time instead of the daily show that I do from 10 to 12 Central Time. The evening show is interesting. We had Tom Evanstad last night. He's running for governor of Minnesota. He's a fucking crazy person, and he crashed out harder than almost anybody has ever crashed out on my show. And I got him on video because we did it on YouTube instead of TikTok, and we didn't have to censor him. He would have gotten kicked right away if we had him on TikTok, so I'm trying to broaden a little bit in terms of that. Also, if you pay $5 a month to be a member anywhere, you get into the members only stream, which is just kind of a chill, like AMA, definitely drinking apple juice out of this mug, TikTok gods type of stream. So if you want to participate in that sort of thing, that's an option. Oh, the Pick Me girls are taxing. I'm glad that last one was kind of fun. But yeah, 10 to 12 Central Time. That's when it is. W in the chats for the mods, because the mods make it happen. The people on the Discord make it happen. Get in touch with the mods if you want to get on the Discord. It's cool stuff happening over there, and people are helping out quite a lot with me running the show. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central Time, right here on TikTok. Goodbye, TikTok. And right here on YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube.